Chapter 408. The sound of something breaking through the air rang out. In an instant, the pill bottle that had been prepared beforehand was lifted up, and the flying pills automatically entered the pill bottle. Bam! There was a loud bang. Just when he thought that there would be no problem and that he could keep the pills in his storage ring, a strange sound occurred. The pill bottle containing the sword-breaking pills instantly exploded, and the fragments scattered in all directions. Damn it, what's going on? This sudden turn of events caught Linley completely off guard. He was instantly startled. Hee, you idiot. You don't even know this? This is a sword-breaking pill. It's concocted from sword grass. You want to store it in this ordinary bottle? Aren't you being too hasty? Fortunately, the 3 sword-breaking pills were pills with spirits. The moment the pills broke, they stopped in the air, and the spiritual energy on them was not damaged at all. What? There's such a thing. However, when he thought about it, it made sense. Just the sword grass alone had taken him a long time to reach it. Now that he had refined it into a pill, it would be a piece of cake. Thinking of this, Linley felt relieved. Then tell me, what should I use? I can't eat it now. Lin Ray's words left the little dragon completely speechless. Can't you just put it in the system's storage basket? I say, is your brain. As he spoke, the little dragon completely lost his temper. He didn't know what to say anymore. Knowing that he had made a fool of himself, he stored the 3 sword-breaking pills in the system the moment the little dragon told him the solution. It's finally done. Fortunately, I used up all the sword grass in less than a month. Otherwise, all right, stop wasting time. Even though you've refined it, it's still impossible for you to consume it. You don't practice the sword Tao, so I'll tell you once I find a suitable medicinal property. For now, let's just hurry up and continue. If I had known, you would have to return a planet aqua blue in less than 100 years. Listening to the little dragon's urging, Lin Ray also became nervous. Then, without saying anything else, he stored the worldly splendor into the system. After packing up, he continued to move deeper into the demon's den based on the previous appearance and time. They should be reaching the end soon. However, Lin Ray's heart ached for the glazed crystals underground. That was a mine. To Lin Ray, this was a huge amount. If he could store it all in his blanket and turn it into an immortal item, how much would that be? Even if he used it to buy it, how much would he sell it for? Although he was reluctant to part with it, Lin Ray was even more curious about the things in the depths. However, what Lin Ray didn't know was that while he was gone, Wang Kuei and Wang Wen had already gone crazy. After Lin Ray disappeared, they searched everywhere. Some of them even sent messages to the dark operation in the headquarters of the Xuanzong Sect and asked them to send people to the immortal realm to look for him. However, after such a long time, they didn't find any trace of him. This caused the entire senior management of the Xuanzong Sect to be in an uproar. A month after Lin Ray disappeared, Jinan came to Waning Moon City and found Wang Kuei and Wang went to ask about the situation. When he found out that his father had gone missing, he went crazy and searched for him frantically. He even thought of the Bai family on the continent. Because they had destroyed a branch of the Bai family, they couldn't help but suspect that the Bai family was related to Lin Ray's disappearance. Moreover, it wasn't just the senior management of the Xuanzong Sect. Not long after Lin Ray disappeared, the news of his disappearance spread throughout the immortal realm. Everyone was ready to take action. They wanted to take down the Xuanzong Sect in one fell swoop when the Xuanzong Sect was leaderless. However, all those who wanted to take over the Xuanzong Sect chose to lay low after careful consideration. This was because they weren't sure about the real strength of the Xuanzong Sect. Based on the 9 celestial emperors that were shown during the Xuanzong Sect celebration, no one believed that the Xuanzong Sect's high-profile rise only had 9 celestial emperors. However, they couldn't imagine that the Xuanzong Sect had a total of 9 celestial emperors at that time. Moreover, they had shown them all at once. Peace returned to the immortal realm. However, the people of the Xuanzong Sect split up to look for Lin Ray. Everyone chose to watch the show. However, what they didn't know was that their sect leader, Lin Ray, whom many people in the immortal realm wanted to kill, was riding on a horse's hooves in the depths of the Devil's Den in the depths of the Xiaoya city. He was riding happily. His face was flushed and he was humming a tune from the planet Aqua Blue. He was very comfortable. I have a little donkey, but I never ride it. One day Hey, boy, can you stop singing? Although you're very happy, don't disturb my sleep. You know, it's very tiring to deal with your affairs every day. Lin Ray, who was originally quite happy, heard the lazy but annoying voice of the little dragon. For a moment, Lin Ray rolled his eyes and stopped singing. All right, don't be so stubborn. Since you're awake, watch the road for me. If you have nothing to do, you'll just sleep. Since Xiaolong was resting, he might as well take a look and see if there was any danger in the road ahead. You're exploiting me. Do you know that? You're exploiting me. As soon as he finished speaking, he saw a sharp gaze. He immediately shut his mouth and looked at the road ahead of the Devil's Denver. He didn't say a word and was very obedient. Seeing the little dragon's expression, Lin Ray laughed and waited for the little dragon to give him an answer. Lin Ray paused for a long time to observe the little dragon's facial expressions while waiting for an answer. However, he found that the little dragon was as calm as ever, as if telling him that there was no danger ahead. Seeing this, Lin Ray didn't wait any longer. He directly strode forward. As he moved forward, Lin Ray's 5 senses were completely blocked out. At the same time, his divine senses were constantly scanning the area within a mile of his body, in case of any sudden changes. Don't worry, kid. There's nothing wrong ahead. Go ahead boldly and don't worry. There won't be any mistakes. The little dragon's words sounded familiar to Lin Ray. It seemed that he had said the same thing when the sword aura appeared. However, as soon as he finished speaking, Lin Ray sank into the ground and said the same thing when he went to dig for glazed crystals. When he heard this sentence, Lin Ray couldn't help but feel nervous because he had been tricked by the little dragon. Therefore, he had to be more careful. Otherwise, who knew what would happen? Looking at Lin Ray's indifferent expression, the little dragon knew what was going on, but he didn't say it out loud. As the saying goes, things don't always go as one wishes. After a long journey, Lin Ray began to believe the little dragon's words. Suddenly, Yixiang happened. In an instant, when Lin Ray took a step forward, the entire space seemed to be painted with blood. The surroundings were incomparably red, sending chills down one's spine. Even Lin Ray would be frightened by this sudden attack. F***CK. Yixiang's sudden appearance caused Lin Li to instantly take a step back in shock. But then, as though sensing something, he returned to his original spot. However, for some reason, he felt a cold sensation on his back, as though something was staring at him. However, the little dragon, who was following Lin Ray, blushed even more. He had just said that there was no danger, but now... Little dragon, you're really something. You're so good at tricking people, aren't you? Previously, it was the sword aura and the mysterious crystal snake. What is it now? What? I really don't know. This you see for yourself. I'll go back first. After sensing his predicament, the little dragon decisively disappeared from Lin Ray's sight and returned to the system. Ugh! The little dragon's actions made Lin Ray even more speechless. He didn't expect the little dragon to be so shameless. He didn't dare to guarantee that there wouldn't be a second Lin Ray in this world. However, although the surrounding space had turned blood red, there wasn't any danger. Therefore, Lin Ray let go of his nervousness and walked forward vigilantly, ready to fight at any time. However, Lin Li found it extremely difficult to take even a single step forward. It was as though every step he took would lead to danger. Little brat, who are you? Why are you here? This sudden voice caused all the hairs on Lin Li's body to stand on end, and the cold feeling on his back grew even more intense. The voice was full of vicissitudes and sadness, but Lin Ray could feel that the other party was very powerful and mysterious, giving off an unfathomable feeling. Of course, this was just a voice that Lin Ray casually heard and a temporary feeling. He didn't know the specifics yet. Tell me, who are you and why are you in this devil's den? Lin Ray tried his best to calm down and shouted into the air. Little brat, you're very brave to be able to come here. Normally, people who come in can only walk to the corpse to end their lives. Some people are even directly obliterated by the sword aura emitted by the sword grass. I didn't expect that after so many years, someone could still come here. Indeed, the heavens didn't forsake the way of the Master, and the heavens didn't forsake the inheritance of the Master. Hiss! Listening to the words of the mysterious voice, Lin Ray was completely shocked. How many hundreds of millions of years had it been? This place had existed for so long. In this regard, Lin Ray's mind was full of questions. At the same time, Lin Ray didn't know what kind of person this mysterious voice was, and what kind of person was this master that could make a voice exist for so long and still be so powerful. Senior, I've offended you just now. It's really my fault. Senior, please don't take offense. As the saying goes, when you see a person, you speak human language. When you see a ghost, you speak ghost language. When you see a person stronger than you, you have to answer with the words of a weakling. Of course, the standard of a weakling in Lin Ray's mind was the kind that Lin Ray couldn't fight back at all. Chapter 409. Not bad. Kid, you're not bad. You know when to advance and when to retreat. You're neither arrogant nor impatient. You have a calm heart. You're indeed a good practitioner. As soon as he said that, Linley felt a little embarrassed. Although the other party was praising him, Linley didn't let down his guard before he figured out the other party's identity and intentions. He continued to observe his surroundings vigilantly. However, it was a pity that no matter what method Lin Ray used, he could not find anything strange. Moreover, the voice of the person who spoke surrounded the entire red space. Lin Ray could not tell where the voice came from at all. Kid, I've said it before. Don't try to find my whereabouts. With your current cultivation, you're still far from it. Lin Ray did not want to believe the words of the mysterious person. However, it was the truth. In the end, Lin Ray chose to give up. Senior, may I know who you are? Linley couldn't help but feel curious. Although he had asked earlier, he hadn't been able to get an answer. In the end, Linley couldn't help but feel curious. Well, you don't need to know this. You only need to know that many people have come here in the past hundreds of millions of years. However, no one has been able to reach this step. You should feel lucky. Lin Ray did not think that the other party was joking at all. Therefore, when he heard the mysterious voice, Lin Ray deeply understood the horror of this place. I can only tell you one thing. I'm the guardian deity of this devil cave. You can also say that I'm an obsession. It's an obsession to protect this place. Therefore, you don't need to know who I am. You only need to know that if you continue to walk down this path, you will obtain many good things. Compared to the sword grass from before, they are not inferior at all. As soon as he said that, Linley's heart trembled slightly. However, it was only a slight tremble before he calmed down. This was because he knew that he did not believe that such a good thing would fall into his lap. Moreover, he had always believed that he would be well-fed and clothed by himself. Therefore, Linley was certain that there would be many traps waiting for him behind the scenes. Thank you for telling me, Senior. Although it was just suspicion, Lin Ray did not dare to express his thoughts in the face of such a strong person. All right, I won't talk to you anymore. Hurry up and go in. It's very fun inside. But just as Lin Ray was about to speak, he suddenly felt a strong force. In an instant, Lin Ray's body was thrown uncontrollably into the depths of the Devil's Denver. There were no obstacles along the way. There were no dangers, no traps, and no ferocious beasts guarding them. However, other than the blood-red space, there was nothing else. However, to Linley's disbelief, the deeper he went, the more a strange spiritual energy filled Linley's body. At the same time, the blood in Linley's body was like boiling water, boiling and boiling. His entire body was boiling hot, but it was extremely comfortable. This was a comfort that Lin Ray had never felt before, not even when he was improving his cultivation. This kid really is blessed with good fortune. I didn't expect that he would be able to find such a powerful place in a random place. However, this is just what I wanted. I originally wanted to purify Linley's bloodline, but I didn't expect that this place would be filled with the edicts of blood. At this moment, after sensing this scene, the little dragon in the system did not come out to explain to Lin Ray. Instead, it watched this scene quietly and was very happy for Lin Ray. The precept of blood was the only other precept besides the 3,000 precepts. It was very special, but also very powerful. Other than the Lord of the Nether River during the Untainted Age, no one else had practiced it since then. This was because practicing the precept of blood was very terrifying. And now, in such an ordinary devil's den, the appearance of the rule of blood was like adding wings to a tiger for Lin Ray, adding the finishing touch to the dragon. If one knew that Lin Ray's homing sovereign bloodline had just been activated, it would be normal for his bloodline to be good. Now that it was tempered by the rule of blood, the quality of his bloodline would be greatly improved. Lin Ray let out a blood-curdling scream. His skin turned redder and redder. Then, his expression became extremely distorted. What was even more unbelievable was that Lin Ray's sweat was actually covered in blood. Just like that, as he flew, he roared in pain. This scene was very comical. The faster he moved, the more intense the pain in Linley's body became. However, what was surprising was that Linley's cultivation level was actually increasing at a rapid rate. The faster his cultivation increased, the closer he got to the late stage of the immortal monarch realm. At the same time, Lin Ray's pain also increased exponentially. This is good. It seems like it won't be long before this kid breaks through to the immortal emperor realm. I'll have to prepare the 5 elemental spirits for him later, in case he doesn't have the real strength to break through to the next realm. The little dragon was very happy about Lin Ray's breakthrough. However, the little dragon was very concerned about whether Lin Ray could break through to the next realm. It could be said that the little dragon had high hopes for Lin Ray. At this moment, Lin Ray didn't hear the little dragon's words. If he did, Lin Ray would be so grateful that he wouldn't know what to say. However, at this moment, Lin Ray, who was unconsciously floating in the air as if he was being dragged by someone, was emitting an increasingly powerful aura. In addition, the faintly unconscious Linley had unknowingly, without even knowing what was going on, gained insights into the laws of the blood. For a person's bloodline to be able to learn the laws of the blood was extremely beneficial to the person. However, to the people of the immortal world, the law of blood was a very distant and unreachable thing. This was because the comprehension of the law of blood was something that could only be done after ascending to the divine world. Even immortal venerables couldn't do it. However, Lin Ray had done it. As the saying goes, no one has ever done it before. Lin Ray was the first person to do it. The red color in the blood-red space slowly receded. The red color that retreated turned into strands of red silk that were as long as hair. The moment Lin Ray passed by, they merged into Lin Ray's body. However, Lin Ray's primordial spirit, which was in the Pill Palace, had already reached a height of 1,000,000 zhang. Its pressure was rising bit by bit. At the same time, the primal chaos true spirit automatically revolved according to the circuit without Lin Ray's help. Round after round, Lin Ray's immortal spiritual chi and the power of his bloodline became more and more intense. Little brat, I didn't expect your aptitude to have reached such a level. You comprehended the law of blood as a mid-stage immortal monarch. At the same time, you absorbed the law of blood that was maintained by the old master in this space. It seems like my lifespan is not far away. At this moment, the voice of the mysterious god was filled with relief when Lin Ray was unconscious and the blood-red space was abnormal. However, when he said that he was looking at his master, his tone was very respectful. Little Dragon, who was in the system, naturally knew the voice of the mysterious god. This was because not long ago, the little dragon already knew all the information about the mysterious god in this space. If the little dragon's guess was correct, this space should belong to the untainted land. As long as the Lord of the Styx River came out of it, the blood-red space was formed by the law of blood. The little dragon couldn't help but admire Lin Ray's luck and the depth of Lin Ray's good fortune. Others might not encounter such good fortune even once in millions of years. What about the master it chose? He encountered the Valley of Immortals when he first came to the immortal world. After that, he got rid of the endless bloodline. Then, he came to the capital city. Since then, he encountered the battlefield where the gods and devils fought. Then, he encountered the Tianxiong Mountain. Now, he encountered the remains of the Lord of the Styx River, who once dominated a region in the untainted land. Even a destined person wouldn't have such good fortune. Xiaolong was astounded by this. Even if he was born during the Grand Mist era, he still didn't dare to imagine such a fortuitous encounter. So many fortuitous encounters could be encountered in a short few hundred years. How great was one's luck and fortuitous encounter? All of a sudden, a scream startled the little dragon in the system. As for the little dragon, who had been observing Lin Rei's every move, after hearing Lin Rei's scream, it didn't waste any time. It had already prepared everything it needed to break through to the immortal Emperor realm. Therefore, without hesitation, it appeared beside Lin Rei in an instant. F***CK. However, as soon as it appeared, the little dragon couldn't help but curse after sensing the aura and pressure emanating from Lin Rei's body. It was instantly petrified on the spot. Boom! A muffled sound came from Lin Rei's body. His aura burst out instantly and bombarded the red space around him. He broke through to the late stage of the immortal monarch realm so quickly. The little dragon thought that it would take a long time for it to break through to the immortal emperor realm. However, after Lin Rei let out a scream, it discovered that Lin Rei's body let out a muffled sound, and the aura of a late-stage immortal monarch burst out uncontrollably from his body. However, what shocked the little dragon was that Lin Rei, who had broken through to the late-stage immortal monarch realm, didn't calm down. Instead, it continued to grow. The little dragon was truly astonished by this. It seemed like he was going to break through consecutively. However, the little dragon panicked. Previously, it had discussed with Lin Rei that he needed the 5 elemental spirits to break through to the immortal emperor realm. And now, Lin Rei was unconscious. If he were to break through now, it would affect Lin Rei's imperfect immortal emperor realm. Because if that were to happen, it would affect Lin Rei's future breakthroughs, and he wouldn't be able to reach the stage it had imagined. Chapter 410. However, what made the little dragon even more difficult was that the opportunity to break through did not come at will. Now that there was an opportunity to break through to the immortal emperor realm, the little dragon did not want to stop Lin Rei. Such a dilemma gave the little dragon a headache. It was very difficult for him to make any choice. Just like that, the little dragon watched Lin Rei's aura rise little by little as if he had become a rocket god. This made the little dragon panic. If Lin Rei was awake and saw the little dragon jumping around like an ant on a hot pan, he would definitely find a chair, put 2 plates of peanuts on it, and sit by the side to watch the show. He would also clap his hands and cheer. If it really doesn't work, I can only force my own strength and put the 5-element spirit into Lin Rei's body to make his 5 elements perfect. Although he still has to work hard to cultivate in the future, this should be a good choice. After thinking for a long time, the little dragon finally came up with an answer. He quickly returned to the system and grabbed the 5-element spirit in his hand, ready to wait for the moment when Lin Rei broke through to the immortal emperor realm. Of course, the unconscious Lin Rei was unaware of the little dragon's efforts. At this time, the Devil's Den was very quiet. However, at the same time passed quickly with Lin Rei's breakthrough. Time passed little by little. In the blink of an eye, more than 40 years had passed. The immortal world was completely different from the Devil's Denver. At this time, the immortal world was very turbulent. It had been more than 40 years since Lin Rei disappeared, but there was still no news of Lin Rei. Everyone in the Xuanzong Sect was sent out. The entire immortal world was turned upside down by the Xuanzong Sect, but there was no trace of Lin Rei. There were even some who said that Lin Rei had entered the Devil Realm. There were even some who said that Lin Rei had barged into a forbidden area, but was killed. There were all kinds of rumors. The major sects, clans, and empires in the immortal realm who were planning to attack the Xuanzong sect began to collude openly. Many people saw it. The other countries, clans, and sects who were not colluding with the Xuanzong sect didn't come forward to ease the tension between the Xuanzong sect and the Xuanzong sect. They all hid as much as they could. If they couldn't, they could only watch as the Xuanzong sect gathered all their forces and prepared to attack the heavens. How could the Xuanzong sect not know about this news? But they had no choice. With the disappearance of their sect leader, they seemed to have lost their backbone. Moreover, they hadn't cultivated for such a long time. Therefore, the Xuanzong sect could only defend against the alliance between the sections. However, their attack might take 10 years, 20 years, or even longer. No one knew when they would attack the Xuanzong sect, but everyone knew that they wouldn't attack the Xuanzong sect within 10 years. This was because they needed to have enough capital to take down the Xuanzong sect with the least number of casualties. However, everyone forgot that the Xuanzong sect's formation was set up by Lin Rui. Moreover, the palaces above belonged to Lin Rui. If Lin Rui died, these palaces would disappear immediately. They wouldn't stay for a moment longer. Male brother, from today onwards, the Zheqian Trading Company shouldn't have any contact with the Xuanzong sect. At this moment, the sect leader of the Tianqian Hall of the Tianqiong Xuanzong sect was seated. Jin Ling spoke to Dong Xiaonan with a sad expression. What? Everyone was stunned when they heard this. However, after thinking about it, everyone understood the reason behind it. If the Zheqian Trading Company was still in contact with the Xuanzong sect, and if people found out that the Zheqian Trading Company was related to the Xuanzong sect, or even that the Zheqian Trading Company was built by the Xuanzong sect, then everything would be for naught. Expelling the male brother was a strategy of sacrificing the pawn to protect the card. Jin Ling didn't believe that something had happened to her husband. Even if the Xuanzong sect was captured, she had to preserve a trace of strength for her husband. This was the only thing she could do. Jin Ling's righteousness made everyone present blush with shame. They were deeply shocked by the current Jin Ling. No, sister-in-law, this definitely won't do. At this moment, a strong voice of objection came out of Dong Xiaonan's mouth. His face was full of proof. His eyes were bloodshot, and tears flowed uncontrollably from his eyes. No, sister-in-law, I firmly disagree with your decision. My life, everything I have, and helping the Zheqian Trading Company were all given by Brother Lei. When the sect is in danger, you want me, Dong Xiaonan, to leave? You might as well kill me. At this moment, the Tianqian Hall was filled with an oppressive atmosphere. Everyone was silent. Male brother, listen to sister-in-law. I want you to leave to preserve the strength of the Zheqian Xuanzong sect for the sect master. Similarly, when you leave, take Yun and Sister Yao with you. Yun is Brother Lei's flesh and blood, and Sister Yao is Yun-er's biological mother. As long as they are fine, they will give the Xuanzong sect a trace of Brother Lei's bloodline. At this moment, Jin Ling had already decided to send Yun away and leave her child behind. Protecting the Xuanzong sect was their responsibility. They couldn't leave, but Yun was different. He had a choice. To Yun, Lin Rui was just a familiar stranger who had met him a few times. But at the same time, this was her husband's bloodline. As for her son, he had the responsibility of protecting the Xuanzong sect since he was born. This was inevitable, but... Hearing Jin Ling's words, Dong Xiaonan wanted to say something, but he was interrupted by Jin Ling again. Remember, leave quickly. Don't let anyone see you. Sister-in-law is begging you. As soon as she said this, Dong Xiaonan couldn't say anything even if he wanted to. Immediately, he nodded in agreement and turned to leave. At this moment, Yao, and Lin Yun were already waiting outside the Tianqian Hall. Dong Xiaonan, who had left the hall, didn't say anything else. He released his immortal qi and instantly enveloped Lin Yun and his mother. Then, he flew quickly towards the central part of the sect, the headquarters of the Zheqian Trading Company. All right, all of you are the elites of the sect. This time, if we survive this disaster, we won't be afraid of anyone in the future. Now that Wang Kui, Wang Wan, and Inner have all returned from now on, close all the exits, and protect our home with me." As soon as he said this, everyone in the hall began to shout, "Protect our home! Protect our home!" Their voices formed sound waves and instantly spread out in all directions outside of the Tiantian Hall. At this moment, Lin Ray, who was still improving his cultivation, still didn't know that his disappearance had ushered in a destructive attack on him. At this moment, at the end of the deepest part of the Devil's Den, Lin Ray was floating in the air. The surrounding red threads were still drilling into Lin Ray's body as if they were never saturated. At the same time, his cultivation had also reached a point where he was only one step away from the immortal Emperor realm. I didn't expect that the breakthrough would take 40 years. At this moment, the little dragon, who had been following beside him, sighed as he looked at Lin Ray, who was still unconscious. However, just as he was about to sigh, a strange movement came out of Lin Ray's body. A huge wave of energy came out of Lin Ray's body, and, at the same time, the pressure was also increasing rapidly. Damn, don't tell me he's preparing to break through now. As soon as the strange appearance appeared, the little dragon immediately sensed something. In an instant, five-colored spirits of the 5 elements appeared in his palm and slapped them on Lin Ray's forehead. The spirits of the 5 elements instantly entered Lin Ray's body and began to follow the automatic operation of the chaos scripture to improve his cultivation. Where the soul goes, the soul of the device spirit, suppress the spirits of the 5 elements. Suddenly, a series of fast incantations flew out of Lin Ray's mouth and entered Lin Ray's body the moment they appeared. The incantations that entered Lin Ray's body began to quickly help Lin Ray refine the spirits of the 5 elements. Lin Ray, who was in a coma, felt something but did not wake up. The blood in Lin Ray's body had been purified by half of the impurities. However, due to the excessive consumption and the limited endurance of Lin Ray's body, the work of purifying the blood had to stop. Naturally, Xiaolong had sensed the instant his blood had stopped working. Even if it hadn't automatically stopped, Xiaolong would have come up with a way to make it stop. This was because Xiaolong knew that if Linley's body tried to purify all of the impurities in his blood, his body would explode and he would die. Fortunately, you're obedient. Otherwise, I'll have to do it myself. The little dragon laughed heartily and then focused all its energy on Lin Ray. Boy, you can laugh now. You've reached the early stage of the immortal Emperor realm in such a short time. According to my previous estimation, it would take at least a few hundred years to break through to the immortal Emperor realm. However, in the instant that the purification process ceased, Linley regained his senses, as well as his consciousness. However, the moment he woke up and felt his cultivation, he was pleasantly surprised. However, seeing that his cultivation was breaking through to a stage that he had been thinking about for a long time, Lin Ray did not dare to be careless. He cleared his mind and began to break through seriously. The primordial spirit in the Pill Palace was also growing rapidly as his cultivation increased. The primordial spirit that was originally 1 million feet had now grown to 10 million feet. It had reached a terrifying stage. Generally, the primordial spirit of a cultivator who broke through to the immortal Emperor realm could only grow to 1 million feet. However, Lin Ray's primordial spirit was several times, or even more than 10 times. This number was unpredictable. Hurry up and break through. After I break through, I'll go back to planet Aqua Blue and bring Tao Tai out. Oh no. To break through to the immortal Emperor realm, I need to summon 3 immortal venerables as my subordinates. Then, I'll let one of them return to the sect. In this way, I won't have to worry about the immortal world. Rings of immortal spiritual chi were gathering. At the same time, the 5 elements were being refined. The last step was the final step. Fundamental venerable break. Break! Boom! A muffled sound rang out from within Linley's body, and in an instant, a terrifying aura exploded forth, crushing in all directions. Chapter 411. The aura was like spring water, endless and inexhaustible. The little dragon, who had been observing Lin Ray, felt the aura, and a happy expression appeared on its face. Alas! Finally, I've succeeded. Heaven rewards those who work hard. The little dragon sighed and looked at Lin Ray. It was truly happy and gratified for him. Lin Ray, who had broken through to the early stage of the immortal Emperor realm, did not stop cultivating immediately. Instead, he immediately consolidated his cultivation to prevent any traces from causing irreversible consequences. Time passed little by little on Lin Ray's cultivation journey. More than 4 months had passed since Lin Ray had broken through to the immortal Emperor realm. Finally, under Lin Ray's disdainful efforts, his cultivation of the early stage of the immortal Emperor realm had been completely consolidated, and it was difficult to shake it. Haha, good. Not arrogant and not impatient. This boy seems to have grown up. Looking at the thoughtful and calm Lin Ray, compared to the past, it was simply a world of difference. Phew! He moved. Lin Ray, who was floating in the air, moved. He exhaled a mouthful of turbid air, and his eyelids wriggled. Haha, I didn't expect that this breakthrough would allow me to break through to the immortal Emperor realm. It's really incredible. Lin Ray, who slowly opened his eyes, felt his current cultivation, and his eyes were full of amazement and disbelief. Haha, boy, you finally done it. The little dragon's voice came out of nowhere. After Lin Ray heard it, he said to it with a smile, Yes, it's time to wake up. I don't know why, but I've been feeling more and more irritable recently. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, now that I'm awake, everything is fine. Not arrogant and not impatient, neither servile nor overbearing, and even less mischievous than before. For a moment, the little dragon was not used to it. If Lin Ray knew the benefits of the little dragon at this moment, Lin Ray would definitely say 2 words. Despicable. Hee. Maybe it's because you've been in seclusion for too long that you're feeling upset. Don't worry. When we're done here, we'll leave and return to planet Aqua Blue. Otherwise, when the time is up, you'll be killed. What? So fast? Hearing the little dragon's words, Lin Ray was in disbelief. He had only fainted because there were only 100 years left until the 300-year promise. But now, the little dragon wanted him to go to planet Aqua Blue to fulfill the 300-year promise. This was too. Oh, what do you think? Looking at Lin Ray's appearance, the little dragon rolled its eyes. You have been in seclusion for at least 40 to 50 years. Oh, do you think that a few years or a few months would allow you to jump 2 levels to become an immortal emperor? Do you think that immortal emperors are like chives that appear one after another? Upon hearing the little dragon's words, Lin Ray completely lost his temper. At the same time, he also accepted this fact. The little dragon was right. It wasn't easy to break through the threshold of the immortal emperor. All right, hurry up and feel the power in your bloodline. Perhaps there will be unexpected benefits? Upon hearing the little dragon's words, Lin Ray didn't hesitate. He instantly inspected his bloodline, and to Lin Ray's astonishment, his bloodline had undergone earth-shattering changes. At this moment, his bloodline was like a red crystal and looked extremely charming. It was as though one could imprint it in the depths of one's mind with a single glance. Even natural gems couldn't compare to Linley's bloodline. What was even more miraculous was that there was a terrifying power surging within his bloodline. Linley had tested this power before. He was able to control this power at will, without any restraints. Damn this! Lin Ray was so surprised that he didn't know what to say. He didn't expect that after being in a coma for 40 to 50 years, there would be so many changes. As the person involved, he didn't even know what had happened. If others were to know about this, their jaws would definitely drop. Haha, consider yourself lucky to have come to an especially powerful place. But even so, let's settle the score with the 5 elemental spirits. The sudden change in the topic left Lin Ray at a loss for words. Upon hearing the little dragon's words, Lin Ray was puzzled. What 5 elemental spirits? He didn't know anything about them. What 5 elemental spirits? I've never seen them before. You. This sentence instantly choked the little dragon. But Lin Ray wasn't lying. He really didn't know because when the little dragon injected the 5 elemental spirits into Lin Ray's body, he was in a coma. The 5 elemental spirits were automatically refined by the chaos scripture while he was in a coma. Regarding this, the little dragon didn't know what to do, but there was no doubt that the 5 elemental spirits would be paid back. Let me tell you, I injected the 5 elemental spirits into your body when you broke through to the immortal emperor realm. These things are expensive. You have to pay for them. Otherwise, I'll cry in front of you. In the worst-case scenario, the little dragon could only resort to the coquettish method of the Blue Planet girls to deal with Lin Ray. Ugh. Lin Ray was really impressed by the little dragon's actions, but there was no other way. Lin Ray believed the little dragon's words, because the little dragon had previously said that to break through to the immortal emperor realm, one must find the 5 elemental spirits, because this was a method from another era. This breakthrough was much stronger than an ordinary immortal emperor. Therefore, Lin Ray had no choice but to accept this debt. Okay, I'll accept it, okay? Then tell me, how much do you need? Lin Li's words caused Xiaolong's eyes to light up. He hurriedly said, Hee, actually, it's nothing much. Each of the 5 elemental spirits costs 300,000 exchange points, so... Hiss! Hearing the number of 5 elemental spirits reported by the little dragon, Lin Ray couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. He rolled his eyes and almost fainted. However, after hearing the huge amount, his legs failed to live up to his expectations and bent down. 5 million exchange points. This was not 100 or 200,000. This was many times more than 200,000. If Lin Ray had the money, he would definitely not be stingy. But this was a lot of exchange points. Even if he sold himself, he wouldn't be worth so much. For a moment, Lin Li was filled with worry. His forehead creased into a frown, and a look of displeasure appeared on his face. Oh, isn't this playing with me? 5 million? Even if I sold my kidney, I wouldn't be able to get that much. Looking at Lin Ray's worried face and thinking about the 5 million exchange points, the little dragon snickered in its heart. Its mood was particularly good. How is it, kid? To be honest, Lin Ray regretted it. He regretted being too big of a mouth and agreeing without asking clearly. However, it was too late for regrets. Since he had already boarded the pirate ship, it would be difficult to get off. Stop pretending. It's not like you don't know that I don't have that many exchange points. Just tell me, what do you want me to do? Smart enough. Hearing Lin Ray's words, the little dragon smiled and said, Actually, it's nothing. You can slowly return the exchange points. But I only have one condition, and that is to quickly cultivate. When you reach the height in my heart, you must help me shape my body at all costs and make me a human. As soon as the words came out, Lin Ray immediately relaxed and thought, Hey, as long as you don't make me return the money now, I'll do whatever you say. But what Lin Li didn't know was that helping an artifact spirit create a physical body was no laughing matter. One had to pay an enormous price. Although artifact spirits were spirits as well, in all of history, not a single person had ever succeeded in doing so. However, this was a story for another time. As for whether it would succeed or not, no one knew. Okay, I promise you, when you reach the level in your heart, I will definitely help you shape your body so that you will be like me, unrestrained by the system. You can soar freely between heaven and earth. Birds can fly in the high mountains, and fish can swim in the wide seas. Seeing Lin Li agree so readily, Xiaolong was overjoyed in his heart. Hey kid, when the time comes, you'll know that helping an artifact spirit create a physical body isn't something you can just see. The little dragon was very satisfied with their deal. However, what Lin Ray didn't know was that he had once again been cheated by the little dragon. Perhaps when the time came, Lin Ray would regret it so much that he would cry. However, at this moment, the little dragon really didn't regret it at all. It was happy because it didn't have to give him 5 million exchange points immediately. Okay, let's hurry up and see what's here. This is the end of the Devil's Denver. Maybe the treasures here are even better than the ones before. After being reminded by the little dragon, Lin Ray quickly came back to his senses and looked around. At this moment, the space around him was very big. It was as big as 10 football fields. However, it was pitch black and he couldn't see anything clearly. Originally, when one reached the immortal Emperor realm, one could ignore the darkness. However, it was completely different here. Here, Lin Ray was like a blind man. He walked around randomly and couldn't sense any direction. Use your 5 senses to feel and see what's around you. See if there's anything special. At this moment, Lin Ray, who was originally slightly flustered, suddenly calmed down. He released his 5 senses and began to sense the movements around him. It was really useful. Although he could only see things within 3 meters around him, it was still quite good. He walked forward step by step. Apart from the fact that the road was flat and there wasn't even a small pit, there was nothing else. After walking around for a while, just when Lin Ray really thought that there was nothing, the entire space suddenly lit up. The bright light made Lin Ray, who had been in the darkness, unable to adapt to it. The moment the light appeared, Lin Ray's eyes stung, and he instantly closed them. The realization of the light appeared in an instant. Lin Ray wasn't even prepared for it. Damn, what's going on? Chapter 412. Gradually, Lin Ray opened his eyes and adapted to the light in this space. After a while, Lin Ray's eyes were completely adapted to the light. At this moment, Linley was able to see everything clearly. There wasn't a single place that Linley couldn't see. When he looked again, there was a huge altar in the center. Around the altar, there were words and symbols that Lin Ray had never seen before. However, on the walls of this space, there were wall paintings with strong Tao rhymes. Lin Ray seemed to understand some of the meanings on the wall paintings, but he was not sure. This could be the scene of Pangu splitting open the sky. There was a picture on the wall. It was a picture of a giant with a plate on its head and a giant lotus under its feet. It held a giant axe in its hand. It raised the axe and chopped toward the sky. It was hard not to think of the scene when Pangu split open the sky. The sudden pain caused Linley to shut his eyes. A drop of blood flowed out from the corner of Linley's eye, dripping down his cheek and dripping down his cheek. Damn, boy, do you want to die? How dare you look at this kind of wall painting? If you were not in the immortal Emperor realm, I'm afraid you would explode and die if you looked at it for a while more. Suddenly, the little dragon's reprimanding voice came. Lin Ray realized the seriousness of his gaffe, because no matter what mistakes he made in the past, the little dragon had never reprimanded him like this. Okay, I got it. Suddenly, the space was silent. There was no business. Lin Ray thought that the little dragon was angry and wanted to apologize. But suddenly, the little dragon's voice came. What it said was the meaning of the painting. Listen carefully. What you said just now was correct. That was indeed the scene of Pangu splitting open the sky. However, after that, he turned into all living things and created the desolate era. At this point, the little dragon's voice carried traces of desolation. For a moment, Lin Ray's emotions were brought into the little dragon's mind. Then, little by little, Xiaolong told Linley everything that had happened. Along the way, Linley felt as though he had experienced the events himself, as though he had entered a primordial world. His horizons had been broadened greatly, and at the same time, Linley was filled with reverence towards each and every one of those gods that Xiaolong spoke of. However, what surprised Lin Ray the most was that the place he was in now was actually the place left behind by the master of the Styx River, the Styx River. Lin Ray was amazed by this. Shortly after, the little dragon finished telling the story and Lin Ray opened his eyes. As for the murals, Lin Ray didn't look at them again. After the first time, he didn't want to do it a second time. After knowing that this was the Styx River's legacy, Lin Ray no longer acted recklessly and became well-behaved. Haha, that's enough. The Styx River is no longer here. He can't see you like this, so give up on your little thoughts. Upon hearing the little dragon's voice, Lin Ray blushed instantly. In order not to let the little dragon see through him, Lin Ray quickly pretended to be calm and walked up to the altar. Stop pretending. I've followed you for so many years. If I don't know your character, then I, the little dragon, would have lived in vain. After Lin Ray disappeared, the little dragon quickly followed him and walked up the steps of the altar step by step. With every step, a strong pressure would descend. Lin Ray had felt this pressure before. However, when he was still at the immortal monarch realm, he wasn't afraid at all. Now that he had broken through to the immortal emperor realm, there was nothing to be afraid of. Then step by step, he walked up the steps and slowly arrived at the top of the altar. At this time, a card that looked like a poker card was floating in the air. There were indeed 36 drops of blood around it. At the same time, they were also floating in the air. The blood exuded a terrifying aura. Lin Ray was very familiar with this aura. This was the blood evil chi. At the same time, Lin Ray felt very familiar, as if he had seen it before or it was something that belonged to him. However, what made Lin Ray most curious was the card floating in the middle. There was a kind of formation engraved on the card. Lin Ray had never seen this kind of formation before. However, according to the vision of an Emperor Realm Array Master, he vaguely felt that the formation on the card should be the contract of Dojong. Little dragon, come and see what kind of formation this is. I've never seen it before. Hearing Lin Ray's voice, the little dragon came to Lin Ray's side in an instant. As he spoke, Lin Ray pointed at the card floating in the air. For a moment, the little dragon's pupils shrank and his face revealed a look of ecstasy. Hurry, Lin Ray, hurry up. The first drop of blood is in. Quickly sit down and refine it. With it, you will have another helper in the immortal world. Although he didn't understand what the little dragon was saying, Lin Ray understood the literal meaning very well. Without hesitation, he sat down cross-legged and held the card in his hand. He took out the heavenly battle sword and cut a hole on his finger. A drop of blood flowed out from his finger and dripped onto the card. Swoosh! In an instant, there was a burst of brilliant light. An illusory formation suddenly appeared and rushed out of the altar. It didn't stop until it reached the boundary of the entire space. The great Tao of blood, as long as the blood is not extinguished, it will never be extinguished. Since an ancient voice rang out. Instantly, Linley's heart was filled with shock. And then, those 36 drops of blood began to slowly swell, forming into the shape of a person. I guess right. The little dragon's words made Lin Ray scratch his head. He didn't understand at all why he couldn't speak clearly. On the contrary, he only spoke half of it. It was very confusing. Why, little dragon, tell me, what did you guess? At this moment, looking at the 36 figures formed by the drops of blood, Lin Ray panicked. This was the first time Lin Ray had seen such a strange scene. He had never heard of a drop of blood being able to form a person. Moreover, he was happy that the aura on his body was slowly rising. Kid, don't take it for granted. Do you know that these 36 figures are members of the Azura tribe? They were the first group of Azura tribesmen who were allowed to come out when Mingi established the Azura tribe. With this explanation, Lin Ray was so shocked that he couldn't speak anymore. This kind of information was really difficult for Lin Ray to accept. The Eldritch world and this world were worlds apart. However, now it was Mingi's world and Panga's world. Now, the Azura tribe had appeared. Lin Ray could only choose helplessly. TSK, I just don't know why Mingi would leave such a powerful existence here and let them live in this world as a drop of blood. Little Dragon couldn't figure it out no matter how hard he tried. However, when he thought of the kind of card Lin Ray was forming a contract with, Little Dragon gave up thinking. He knew that the formation formed by Lin Ray was a kind of slave formation. It used blood as a medium to recognize its master. As for what it was controlling, he believed that even if he didn't say it now, he would know. It was the 36 members of the Azura tribe who were transforming. Little by little, the 36 figures of the Azura tribe slowly appeared. Their cultivation had reached the peak of the immortal Emperor realm. Then, their aura suddenly stopped rising. Their figures were revealed. At this moment, they didn't look like they were in their 70s or 80s as Lin Ray had imagined. Instead, they looked very young. They were about the same age as Lin Ray. However, the blood chi on their bodies was very strong. Anyone could feel it. Slave formation, form Yongqi form. The moment the formation was completed, the illusory formation floating in the air suddenly disappeared. However, the card remained in Lin Ray's hand. Azura command. 3 words appeared on the card. Lin Ray was sure that these 3 words didn't exist before. Azura command. What the hell is this? Looking at the card, Lin Ray felt helpless. Just as Lin Ray was at his wit's end, a strange sound came from the front. Plop! At this moment, the 36 members of the Azura tribe knelt down before Lin Ray. They were full of respect and cautiousness. We, the Azura tribe, pay our respects to our master. Master? Ha ha ha. Hearing their greetings, Lin Ray was stunned at first. Then he laughed heartily. However, he soon realized his impoliteness. He calmed his complicated emotions and said to them, "Thank you for your help. Get up, all of you. Don't call me master in the future. Call me young master." Looking at the 36 peak-level immortal emperors in front of him, Linley's heart was already blooming with joy. He had known that this was an extremely powerful force. Moreover, Linley believed that just these 36 immortal emperors alone were enough to topple any top sect. "Yes, we will obey your orders." They were indeed from the Azura tribe. Their movements were fast, and their momentum was indescribable. The fact that they had top-grade immortal artifacts was enough to prove that. Moreover, the weapons in their hands were indescribable. If he was not wrong, the demonic weapons in their hands should all be at the level of divine artifacts. It's finally over. I've been here for so long. I wonder what the outside world is like. Is the sect still intact? I wonder what happened to Wang Kuei and Wang Wen. After everything was over, Lin Ray thought of them. However, what Lin Ray didn't know was that the Xuanzong sect was in danger and could be destroyed at any time. Haha boy, that's enough. Don't be so emotional. You've picked up a big liar this time. Although they are at the immortal emperor realm now, according to my conservative estimate, their real strength should be above the immortal X realm. Hearing the little dragon's words, Lin Ray looked at the 36 members of the Azura tribe in disbelief. For a moment, he didn't know what to say. That's enough. Hurry up and arrange everything. You don't have to go back. Just stay here. I'll let you use the transmission device for free so that you can return to planet Aqua Blue directly. Chapter 413. After hearing Xiaolong's words, Linley froze on the spot. His eyes were wide open, and he looked at Xiaolong with a strange expression. He thought that there was something wrong with his ears and that he had misheard. At the same time, the little dragon was also speechless when he sensed Lin Ray's expression. "All right, stop looking. I'm not crazy, and neither are you. I'm just paying you in advance to help you build my body in the future. Don't fall in love with me because of this." At this moment, Lin Ray had returned to his original appearance. However, after hearing the little dragon's last sentence, Lin Ray bent over and vomited. "Ah, funny, you're joking." After saying that, Lin Ray did not have the chance to talk to Lin Ray. Instead, he turned his attention to the 36 Azura clan members. Although they looked no different from ordinary people, even an ordinary person would be able to notice the aura on their bodies. The blood chi on their bodies was very majestic. Even with Lin Ray's realm and physical cultivation, it was not as strong as any of the Azura clan members' blood chi. Therefore, this also proved that the Azura clan was indeed a remnant of the primordial times. Moreover, they were created by the blood sea sticks. All right, for the sake of convenience in the future, all of your original names will be abolished. From now on, you will be called Blood 1, Blood 2, and so on until you are ranked Blood 36. As for how you will be ranked, that will depend on your strength. Who is stronger, or you may have been ranked this way before. Yes, we will obey young master's words. After hearing Lin Ray's command, the 36 Azura clan members instantly knelt on the ground and kowtowed to Lin Ray. All of you rise." Seeing them kneel, Lin Ray felt very helpless. He then ordered, "Also, when I give you orders in the future, you don't have to kneel. I don't like these complicated formalities, and don't tell me no. This is the first order I give you after you become my Lin Ray's subordinates. If you don't obey, you will be killed." Before he finished speaking, the murderous aura was already there. Even the Azura clan, as a clan of killing, couldn't help but gasp in surprise when they felt Lin Ray's murderous aura. This was because Linley's murderous aura was like a vast ocean, endless and mixed with a chilling aura. His murderous aura was originally Ian, and coupled with the fact that he had fought with the corpse for such a long time, Linley's murderous aura was no longer the same as it was in the past. "My lord's strength is truly admirable." A resounding flattery directly landed on Lin Ray. Lin Ray wasn't a saint. After hearing the Azura clan member's words, Lin Ray was overjoyed. "Ha ha ha! Good. Your future is limitless. Ah, shameless." The little dragon's words made Lin Ray's good mood disappear in an instant. It was replaced by a stomach full of anger. "I say, little dragon, will you die if you don't insult me?" he said to Xiaolong with resentment. Xiaolong was so heartless, and he looked as if he was very happy to make fun of him. Linley was so angry that one Buddha was born, and two Buddhas ascended to the heavens. He was so angry that he wanted to rush up and tear open the little dragon's pants, take the heaven-measuring ruler from the primordial age, and viciously slap the little dragons, but a few times. "Ha. Okay, I won't anger you anymore." Having seen enough and laughed enough, the little dragon suddenly changed the topic and said to Lin Ray with a serious face, "You've been away from the immortal realm for more than 50 years on the surface. During the Xuanzong Sect celebration, you didn't leave any face for the major sections. Now that you've disappeared, perhaps there are already people spreading the news of your death. Tell me, at this time, how will you deal with those who don't accept you and are jealous of your possession of the celestial sect?" In an instant, the little dragon's words calmed Lin Ray down. It could even be said that he was worried. Indeed, when he thought about how he didn't leave any face for the major sects in front of 50 years and even made a fool of them, now that he thought about it, the only thing they were thinking about now was how to deal with the Xuanzong sect and the celestial sect. "This, you're saying..." Speaking of this, Lin Ray was afraid. After leaving for more than 50 years, he didn't know the specific situation of the immortal realm. If it was like what the little dragon said, then what about his sect, his wife, and children? Thinking of this, Lin Ray didn't dare to think further because he was afraid. He was afraid that what he thought would become true. Oh, now you know how to be afraid? The little dragon was already aware of Lin Ray's actions, so even if the little dragon didn't see Lin Ray's appearance, he knew what would happen. Nonsense. Listening to the little dragon's nonsense, Lin Ray was really drunk. Since he knew the situation, why didn't he hurry up and say a solution? Why was he wasting time here? Then, Lin Ray was ready to turn around and head outside. However, before he took the first step, the little dragon's voice sounded again, full of helplessness. I say, are you stupid? I've already said that you have to hurry back and rescue Tao Dai. Otherwise, it doesn't matter if you die, but I will die too." Sure enough, as soon as the words came out, Lin Ray began to hesitate. He didn't know what to do. On one side was the lives of his wife and children, and on the other side was his and the little dragon's lives. At this moment, Lin Ray was really in a dilemma. No, I can't let my wife and children be in danger. They're my life. I can't do this. Thinking of his wife and children, Lin Ray gave up his life and frantically flew towards the Devil's Denver. The 36 Shura people behind him, the moment Lin Ray moved, they followed closely behind. At this moment, apart from worry, Lin Ray was afraid. He was afraid that everything would be too late. He was even more afraid that his extreme dedication to the Tao would cause the death of his wife and children. Stop. Can you bear it? Use your brain and imagine. Even if you go now, it's already over. Moreover, you are now in the central region, while the Xuanzong sect is in the east. Do you really think you can return to the Xuanzong sect immediately? Although Lin Ray was anxious to save his wife, he hadn't lost his rationality. Lin Rei also understood the little dragon's words. Therefore, the moment he heard the little dragon's words, Lin Rei stopped. Don't you still have 3 chances to draw the lottery? You are now in the early stage of the Immortal Emperor realm. You can use the lottery to draw 3 Immortal Venerables. Isn't that enough? Leave 1 Immortal Venerable, and the other 2 will follow you back. Once the Immortal Venerables appear, the sect won't be able to deal with them. Sure enough, the moment the little dragon's idea appeared, the haze in Lin Rei's heart instantly dissipated. The originally worried expression on his face disappeared and was replaced by joy. Hee, I will continue to know. I knew you would have a way. Lin Rei didn't want to waste any more time. The longer he waited, the more his wife and children's lives would be in danger. In an instant, his body disappeared from the Devil's Denver. When Lin Rei reappeared, he was already in the system. Ding dong, welcome back to the system world. May I know what service the system has for you this time? A very human-like voice sounded, giving Lin Rei a fright. Previously, he didn't receive such treatment. Damn, what's wrong with this? This is just a small change after the upgrade. When the system life reaches a certain level, there will be more and better things for you to find. All right. Upon hearing the little dragon's words, Lin Rei knew that it was tempting him to hurry up and find a higher level of spiritual energy to increase the system life. Moreover, Lin Rei didn't believe that the system life wouldn't benefit the little dragon. System, activate the mission draw system. Ding dong, okay, please wait a moment. After waiting for a short while, the system's voice sounded again. Ding dong, system activated. How would the host draw? Once, twice, or thrice? Lin Rei pondered over the system's words. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have drawn the Immortal Venerables in batches like before. This time, Lin Rei wanted to draw the Immortal Venerables again and again. Let's draw one at a time. Ding dong, okay. Please wait a moment. The mission draw system will be activated. Ding dong, the mission draw system has begun. Please wait patiently. After the system's voice finished speaking, it went silent. Then, there was no movement in the system space. It was so quiet that Lin Rei felt a little uncomfortable. Time passed little by little. In this regard, Lin Rei didn't feel anxious. Instead, he waited patiently. He didn't know how much time had passed because he couldn't feel the time in the system at all. Just when Lin Rei was a little impatient, suddenly, a wave of pressure came over. However, the moment it sensed Lin Rei's aura, the pressure shrunk instantly. However, Lin Rei couldn't forget that pressure for the rest of his life. Although it was only for a moment, Lin Rei felt as though he was struck by lightning from the ninth heaven. He didn't know where he was, and even in that short moment, he lost control of his body. That's right, it was only for a moment, and he recovered immediately. Phew! Cold sweat trickled down his forehead, and the back of his shirt was drenched in cold sweat. Although he was terrified, Lin Rei knew that it was the Immortal Venerables that he had drawn. Filled with excitement, he looked at the source of light in front of him. All of a sudden, a charming, refined, and devastatingly beautiful woman appeared before him. Haha. Kid, it seems like you're quite lucky with women. Some of them are really powerful. To be able to cultivate to the Immortal Venerables level, it seems like the previous owner must be really powerful and the family behind her must be really awesome. Chapter 414. Why do you say that? Upon hearing the little dragon's words, Lin Rei didn't understand. Although this woman was powerful, it shouldn't be enough to recognize her previous self. I'm just making a wild guess. Looking at the playful little dragon, Lin Rei rolled his eyes and left it to its own devices. The light in front of his eyes slowly disappeared as the woman's appearance became clearer and clearer. Step. At that moment, the woman in the immortal robe slowly approached Lin Rei. Without a word, she knelt on the ground and kowtowed to Lin Rei. My surname is Jean. My name is Lu Ying, and my courtesy name is Wanrong. I'm in the late stage of the Immortal Venerable stage. Greetings, young master. From now on, I'm your subordinate. Her name was clear, and the way she introduced herself was unique. However, Lin Ray seemed to like it a lot. He smiled, and the saliva at the corner of his mouth was clearly visible. However, Lu Ying didn't see it, because he kept his head down in front of Lin Ray. After Lin Ray sensed himself, he hurriedly wiped away the saliva at the corner of his mouth and said to Lu Ying, get up. From now on, stay by my side and be my bodyguard. As soon as he said that, Lu Ying, who was kneeling on the ground to show his loyalty, instantly beamed with joy. This smile was much better than that stupid smile of his. Lin Ray believed that with Lu Ying's smile, even a powerful, immortal venerable or an old bald donkey who had cultivated for millions of years couldn't help but let their imaginations run wild. Yes, hearing his master's words, Lu Ying hurriedly stood up and went behind Linley. He stood there respectfully and didn't say a word. Seeing that the first person to appear was a beauty, Lin Ray looked forward to the next two people even more. System, hurry up and draw the second immortal venerable for me. Hurry. Ding dong, okay. Please wait for a moment, host. The system is already running. Before Lin Ray could finish his sentence, the system's voice rang out. Furthermore, it had already started operating on its own. The pain was the same as the last time. He didn't know how long he had to wait. Fortunately, this time, there was a beautiful woman standing beside him. Otherwise, Lin Ray would really be suffocated to death. However, this time, Lin Ray clearly felt that the selection process was much slower than the previous time. Ding dong, extraction complete. Lin Ray, who was meditating, suddenly heard the system's voice. Lin Ray quickly woke up, and at this moment, a man in battle armor appeared in front of him. The man was handsome, with sharp eyebrows and bright eyes. His aura was incomparably valiant, but Lin Ray still felt that his aura wasn't as strong as Lu Ying's. He wasn't sure if it was an illusion. With a plop, the man knelt on the ground and introduced himself. Subordinate, Ling Yu, late-stage immortal venerable. From now on, I am young master's subordinate. Lin Ray listened to the man's fluent words. However, his previous thoughts were confirmed. Ling Yu was indeed not as valiant as Lu Ying. And stand up. Looking at the man in front of him, although he wasn't as valiant as Lu Ying, he was still an immortal venerable. Therefore, Lin Ray didn't ask for too much. Yes, young master. Ling Yu, who stood up, went behind Lin Ray and stood side by side with Lu Ying. He looked at Lin Ray with respect in his eyes. All right, let's go for the third time. This time, Linley didn't waste any more words and directly began the third round. However, after the third round began, Linley sat down cross-legged and stabilized his cultivation. This was because Linley knew that each round of the lottery would take longer than the previous round. As for exactly how long it would take, Linley didn't know. However, at this moment, in the immortal world, the elites of Qinquan Sect had all left for Sword Sect. Elsewhere in the immortal world, Outyin Empire, Formation Emperor Zhu Tiantong, and other elites were all heading towards Sword Sect. Everyone knew that this was a declaration of war against Xuanzong Sect. At the same time, the small sects that had been cheated by Xuanzong Sect were all excited because they were about to get their revenge. At this moment, apart from Wanbao Sect and Jingtian Sect, the other three major sects of the immortal world had all moved out. Two empires had also moved out. Needless to say, the clans had also moved out. The appearance of three clans at the same time was something that had never happened before in the immortal world. Just the number of immortal sovereigns that had gathered this time was 3 times more than the number of Xuanzong Sect. The number of immortal monarchs was uncountable. As for those below the immortal monarch level, the number of people from the sects was even greater. This lineup completely looked like they were going to uproot Xuanzong Sect. However, all of this was unknown to Lin Ray, who was waiting for the third immortal venerable to appear in the Devil Cave in the central region. Even though he had guessed that they would take action, time passed little by little. In the blink of an eye, 6 years had passed. At this moment, only Sword Sect was left. All the clans, sects, and empires had finished gathering during these 6 years of waiting. Cultivators. Soldiers are trained for 1,000 days to be used in a single day. Today is the day that you all repay your sect. Today, our destination is Heaven's Xuanzong Sect. This time, we must annihilate Xuanzong Sect. None of them will be left alive. If Lin Rei had been here, he would have recognized that the man who spoke so vehemently was Jian Wudi, the head of the law enforcement department of a sect. He was Jian Feng's father, Jian Wudi. Yes, we are anxious to annihilate Xuanzong Sect. At this moment, hundreds of thousands of people roared. One could imagine how powerful the airwaves were and how shocking the scene was. Okay, let's go. Phew. What's going on? Why am I so nervous? Did something happen to the sect? At this moment, this was the only thing that Lin Rei could think of. Then, he began to worry. Ding dong, the extraction is complete. A ray of light appeared and then disappeared. A silhouette appeared. It was a burly man who looked very different from the previous two. With a loud bang, the man arrived in front of Lin Rei and knelt on the ground. Suddenly, his body trembled violently. Lin Rei almost lost his balance. I'm Kuei Gang, young master's subordinate. I'm at the peak of late, immortal, venerable realm. Young master can order me around without any complaints. Looking at Kuei Gang, Lin Rei didn't have the mood to chat with him. He immediately asked Kuei Gang to stand up and spoke in an emotional tone. You guys, although it's a little inappropriate to give you this task, it's related to the strength of the sect. I'll have to trouble you guys. As soon as these words came out, the three of them seemed to be overwhelmed by the favor. They immediately knelt down in front of Lin Rei, their eyes full of respect. We came out to deal with all kinds of troubles and enemies for young master. Therefore, young master, you don't have to say these words again. We're willing to do it. Please give us your orders, young master. As soon as these words came out, Lin Rei admired them even more. He didn't waste any more words. Kuei Gang and Ling Yu, the two of you go to the Eastern Sky Xuanzong Sect and protect the Xuanzong Sect. Kill all intruders, no matter who they are. Even if they're immortal venerable from the immortal world, so what? As soon as these words came out, Lin Rei's murderous aura burst forth. Yes, we'll follow your orders. Kuei Gang and Ling Yu were about to leave when they suddenly remembered that they didn't even know the way to the immortal world, let alone the Eastern Xuanzong Sect. Oh, right, I forgot to give you a map. Looking at their indifferent expressions, Lin Rei knew the whole story. Then, he took out a jade slip and threw it to Kuei Gang. All right, hurry up and go. All right, bring 16 people from the Azura clan with you. You must ensure the safety of the Xuanzong Sect. As for the coordinates of the Xuanzong Sect, I've already marked them down. You'll be able to reach there by following the coordinates. Yes, we'll take our leave first. With a whoosh, Kuei Gang and the 16 people from the Azura clan disappeared from the Devil's Den. The moment they disappeared, Lin Rei's heart relaxed a lot. However, it was inevitable for him to be worried. Name, Lin Rei. Age, 324 system level, 2 cultivation, early stage immortal emperor experience, 8549499676. 8. 6 billion, spiritual roots, thunder, fire, wood, metal chaos spiritual roots talent. Beginner immortal supremacy cultivation technique. Chaotic scripture level 2, incomplete. Devouring heavenly technique, growable. Hongmeng alchemy. Entry level cultivation technique. Cloud technique. Emperor level cultivation technique. Same formation. Emperor level cultivation technique. Tyrant body technique. Emperor level cultivation technique. Thunder tyrant body. Zone level secret technique. Martial technique. Butterfly steps. Entry level. Stellar finger. Proficient. Silent thunder spear technique. High level dark level martial technique. Now at entry level. Able to produce 3 lightning bolts. 10,000 sword technique. Heaven level. Level 3 incineration. Emperor level. Dragon subduing step. Emperor level. Azura spear technique. King level. Azura sword formation. King level. Divine transformation. Emperor level. Spiritual treasure. Martial Emperor divine spear. Low grade divine. Weapon. Growable. 10,000 magic sword gradeless. 10,000 beast furnace, heaven and earth bell, supreme grade immortal weapon, heavenly temple, superior grade immortal weapon, heaven and earth Huayu, gradeless, heavenly battle, upgradable equipment, flowing cloud immortal weapon, supreme grade set, mount, golden immortal lucky draw wheel, 2-character lottery system, none reputation, none exchange points, none spiritual stones, 0 king level alchemist, 6958 310 0000 emperor level array, master, 352430100000, heaven level weapon refiner, 345 685 0000, talisman master, not activated war generals, Hong Lian, unknown, Jianwei by Qi, peak great golden immortal, Tian Yun, Ming Bing, peak late immortal emperor, Chu Huang, Tian Heng, Zhong Pu, peak late immortal emperor, Jin Luiying, peak late immortal venerable, Ling Yu, late immortal venerable, Kuei Gang, peak late immortal venerable, top spiritual herbs, heaven and earth treasures, 50 kilograms of purple gold nephrite, 50 kilograms of purple gold sand, 50 kilograms of purple gold divine iron. Side mission, within 300 years, reach the cultivation level that the system thinks of. If you can't complete it, the system has the right to kill you directly. When you have enough strength, rescue the suppressed Paixio. Pills, sword-breaking pill, heaven level. 11 mind control pills, 7,836 mind control pills suddenly. After Keegan disappeared, Linley's information interface suddenly appeared. This was completely unexpected. What made Linley feel strange was that there was an additional warrior-level character's name and level of training in his information. Chapter 415. However, after thinking about it, he understood that this was probably a sign that the system was going to be upgraded. However, it was also because of this that Lin Ray was curious about the changes that would happen after the 3rd level of the system was upgraded. Now you know the benefits of upgrading the system, right? That's why you should hurry up and find a higher grade of spiritual energy. Once the system is upgraded, it'll naturally be more beneficial to you. Lin Ray was puzzled. He didn't understand why the little dragon could always easily find out what he was thinking and even come out to criticize him. It's not impossible for me to find out. The reason why I can know what you're thinking is because I'm your heart, so I naturally know what you're thinking. After rolling his eyes at the little dragon, he didn't say anything else. Instead, he looked in the direction of the entrance of the Devil's Denver. His heart was restless and uneasy. Sigh. I wonder how the Xuanzong sect is doing now. With regards to his wife's worries, even though he had sent people over, Linley didn't feel the slightest bit relaxed right now. Seeing Lin Ray sigh and sigh with worry in his eyes, the little dragon couldn't stand it any longer and scolded Lin Ray. Useless thing. The most important thing for you to do now is to go to planet Aqua Blue and release the Paixio. If you can't even do this, then it'll be even more impossible for you to see your wife and child in the future, because by then, you'll already be dead. As soon as the little dragon said this, Lin Ray was stunned for a moment. Then, he calmed down and looked at the situation calmly. You're right. Then, he turned around and said indifferently to the 20 Overshura clan members that Lu Ying had left behind, "All of you, follow me to a place in a while. When you're there, pay attention to hiding your new cultivation level. Remember not to reveal your cultivation level, because most of the people on that planet are ordinary people. All of you understand." With a plop, everyone knelt on the ground and said respectfully, "Yes, young master. We'll remember young master's orders. We definitely won't reveal even a bit of our cultivation level." Yes. Seeing how everyone was treating him with such respect, Linley felt like he was about to explode with joy. Seeing so many people who were more powerful than him standing in front of him, this was a feeling that no one else would ever experience. "All right, get up." After saying this to the people kneeling on the ground, he turned around and looked at the little dragon. "All right, let's get started. I don't want to delay things over there and then delay things over here. You're worth teaching." Looking at the anxious Lin Ray, the little dragon did not waste any more words. It waved its hand, and with a ripping sound, the space in front of it was torn apart by the little dragon. Huff huff! Waves of heavenly dipper chi rushed out of the torn space and gently brushed past Lin Ray's cheeks. Puff! Two blood-red wounds appeared in a flash, and purple blood flowed out in a flash. Hiss! As soon as he felt the pain, Lin Ray teleported away. Slowly, the heavenly dipper chi became denser and denser, so much so that after rushing out of the crack, it could tear the space apart. The appearance of the cracks in the space made Lin Ray panic. Celestial chi, he had personally experienced it just now. Linley knew that his own level of training was already extremely high, but in front of the celestial chi, it had been as easy as blowing off a strand of hair. It had directly broken through his body, leaving behind a deep and painful memory. Seeing that the torn space was getting more and more intense, Lin Ray's eyes were filled with fear. Kid, why are you afraid? Lin Ray, who was originally afraid, straightened his back the moment he heard the little dragon's words. He had a look that said, I'm not afraid, I'm not afraid. What a joke. Why would I be afraid? This is ridiculous. Although his tone was firm, Lin Ray's eyes could never lie. At this moment, his eyes were full of worry, fear, and shock. Heavenly Dipper Chi, in the novels of the Aqua Blue planet where he lived before, there were stories about it. Pangu created the untainted land, but the sky outside the untainted land was filled with heavenly Dipper Chi. Even the sage-to-be at that time would be afraid of this Chi, not to mention Lin Ray, who was only at the early stage of the immortal Emperor realm. Not bad, kid. I didn't expect the novels of your planet to be so awesome. You even know about the heavenly Dipper Chi. However, it's a pity that the description of the heavenly Dipper Chi is wrong. Even the saints have to be careful when dealing with the heavenly Dipper Chi. After hearing the little dragon's words, Lin Ray sucked in a breath of cold air. The look in his eyes was even more intense than before he heard the little dragon's words. Then why? Why did you tear open the space and release the heavenly Dipper Chi? Damn, are you playing with me? The more he listened to the little dragon, the more Lin Ray felt that something was wrong. You knew that even the saints had to be careful, so why did you still make me suffer like this? Lin Ray felt weak all over. He complained to the little dragon helplessly. Did I ask you to go in just like that? Did I say such a thing? Looking at Lin Ray's complaints, the little dragon said helplessly to Lin Ray with a strange look in his eyes. I didn't say that. In an instant, Lin Ray felt a little embarrassed. He was the one who said everything. The little dragon didn't seem to have said anything from the start to the end. Seeing the embarrassed look on Linley's face, a smile appeared on his face. All right, in a moment, I will use my energy to envelop you. This is the only way to get to planet Aqua Blue quickly. Based on your current speed, even if you fly, you won't be able to reach your home. At this point, the little dragon glanced at Lu Ying and the 20 Azura tribesmen and felt helpless. Throw all the Azura tribesmen into the system later. As for Lu Ying, let him follow you. In any case, he's a venerable immortal, so he might be of some help if he stays by your side. With that, the little dragon shut his mouth and waited for Lin Ray's actions. In an instant, after hearing the little dragon's words, Lin Ray didn't wait for the Azura tribesmen's consent. He waved his hand and threw them into the system. As for Lu Ying, he was stunned by this scene. Even though Lu Ying had lost her memories of her previous life, she was still a venerable immortal. She was still very shocked and curious about this. All right, there will be energy enveloping you in a while. Don't resist it at all. If anything happens and you come into contact with a Heaven Star energy, no one will be able to save you. Yes, this subordinate obeys. As for the Heaven Star energy, Lu Ying had already experienced it, so he wasn't going to throw his life away and put it in. All right, little dragon, let's go. Everything was ready and waiting for the little dragon's east wind. Then they could ride the wind and set sail. Let's go. With a swoosh, a mysterious halo appeared around Lin Ray and Lu Ying without any warning, enveloping them. Then, without any warning, they turned into two rays of light and entered the space that the little dragon had torn apart. The moment they entered, the torn space closed up again, and the space that the Heaven Star energy had rushed in also closed up the moment the first space closed up. At this moment, Lin Ray's aura disappeared from the immortal realm. No matter who it was, no one could deduce Lin Ray's existence at this moment, because they didn't have the ability to guess that Lin Ray had left by tearing apart space. Whoa, this F***er. At this moment, the dusky space was filled with a sense of mystery and oppression. Occasionally, one could even feel a suffocating feeling. Little dragon, where exactly is this place? Why do I feel like this place is very dangerous? It's like my life is going to end at any moment. At this moment, two rays of light streaked across the space and disappeared in the blink of an eye. If one looked closely, there were two people in the two rays of light, a man and a woman. These two people were Lin Ray and Lu Ying, who had been brought into this space by the little dragon. The moment they entered the space, Lin Ray felt the presence of danger. However, the further they flew, the clearer this feeling became. Of course, if Lin Ray could feel it, as a celestial supreme, Lu Ying could feel it even more. However, Lin Ray didn't say anything, and she was too embarrassed to ask. She didn't have the right to ask. Lin Ray's voice was heard. The little dragon replied instantly, "Hey, this place is a very mysterious place. Not to mention celestial supremes. Even supreme gods from the god realm can't fly here. Of course, other than Tao fruit sages, everyone else is basically trash here." Once this was said, Lin Ray was stunned. His eyes were filled with shock. Tao fruit sage? Damn, what kind of realm is this? Thinking of this and associating it with the little dragon's strength, Lin Ray was stunned for a moment. However, Lin Ray was pleasantly surprised that the little dragon had such strength. Remember, don't make any noise here. Although only Tao fruit sages can come here, I never said that there weren't any living creatures here. Remember, if you're caught by a space-time beast here, not to mention you, even I have to run away quickly. With my current strength, I'm no match for a space-time beast. So, remember what I said. Remember. Looking at the cautious little dragon and the serious voice of the little dragon, Lin Ray knew that the space-time beast that the little dragon was talking about was a creature that he couldn't afford to offend. However, a terrifying thought appeared in Lin Ray's mind. Hey, wait until I'm strong enough in the future. I'll definitely come here and catch a space-time beast to be my mount. Damn you, you're crazy. How dare you have such thoughts? Let me tell you, you won't have this chance in 10,000 years. Even if it's 100,000 years, you still won't have this possibility. Chapter 416. F***CK. You can't be serious. Lin Ray was speechless when he heard the little dragon say such discouraging words. At the very least, the little dragon had said that he couldn't diminish his prestige, but now. However, Lin Ray was very certain of the little dragon's knowledge. Even though the little dragon had cheated him a few times before, most of what the little dragon said was true. Lin Ray was basically certain of what the little dragon said just now. If you don't believe me, then so be it. Even a saint wouldn't dare to say that he could catch a space-time beast as a mount, yet you boast so shamelessly. However, it's good that you have such an idea. As the master of my little dragon, not to mention a small space-time beast, even a Khanate demon god wouldn't be an exaggeration. Lin Ray originally thought that the little dragon was going to say something sarcastic, but he didn't expect the little dragon's words to make him happy. At least you have a conscience. However, although I have such an idea now, it still depends on how my cultivation goes in the future. After sighing, Lin Ray didn't say anything else and continued walking forward. Lu Ying followed behind him. Although he had a belly full of questions, he never asked them. Boom, 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 boom. At this moment, The sound of footsteps resounded through the sky. It was very similar to the sound of troops marching on planet Aqua Blue, but this sound was many times louder than that sound. At the same time, everyone's cultivation was so dazzling and shocking. A group of cultivators walked through the sky in waves. Everyone's faces were filled with seriousness. At the same time, the weapons in their hands were extremely bright, as if they were preparing to drink blood. All of you, put in more effort. Our destination is the heavenly Xuanzong Sect. Once we're there, wait for orders and prepare to kill. No one from the Xuanzong Sect can be spared. All of you listen carefully. Suddenly, a clear voice sounded. The voice was filled with holiness, as if it was a deity. After everyone heard it, they all stopped and shouted at it. All disciples of the Sword Sect, obey. All disciples of the Karakoram Immortal Sect, obey. All disciples of the Qinquan Sect, obey. All soldiers of the Outyin Empire, obey. All disciples of the Bai family, obey. All disciples of the Huangpu family, obey. All soldiers of the Kuei Shui Empire, obey. We, soldiers of the Howling Skies Empire, obey. All disciples of the Dongfang family, obey. At this moment, all the families, empires, and sects announced their names. This was something that had never happened before in the immortal world. Not only that, even the disciples of the small families and sects gathered here. One reason was to watch the show, and the other was to pick up the scraps. Wherever these people went, birds and beasts would scatter. Even the natives of the immortal world would close their doors. They couldn't wait to escape from this place so that they wouldn't be implicated. Ha, good. You're all good men. After this is over, I'll definitely reward you. At this moment, all the patriarchs, emperors, and sect masters who had brought their people here were looking at their disciples with smiles on their faces. However, although they looked calm, they weren't. At this moment, they were also secretly cheering. None of them were willing to submit to anyone. However, they were hiding in the dark. On the surface, everyone was very friendly. Of course, other than these people, the most eye-catching ones were the Formation Emperor Zhu Tiantong and his disciples. They were all experts in breaking formations. This time, everyone was counting on them. However, the location of the Heaven Vault sect was clearly visible not far in front of the army. Alas, it seems that the Xuanzong sect is doomed this time. I didn't expect that the rising star would fall so soon. What a pity, what a pity. Who says so? But they can't be blamed. Who asked them to be so ostentatious in their celebration? If they had said it well, it wouldn't have leaked out. But they, alas, forget it. We're not part of the Xuanzong sect. It has nothing to do with us. Besides, the leader of the Xuanzong sect has disappeared. The Xuanzong sect can't do anything at all. At this moment, below the ground, the people from the various forces were looking at the chaotic scene in the sky. Their cultivations were off the charts. Their hearts were filled with shock, but at the same time, they were filled with yearning. However, when they talked about the Xian sect, everyone had a look of pity on their faces. However, this was very clear to the people of the Xuanzong sect. When they leaped over the east, they had already noticed it. At the same time, the moment they noticed it, Jean Ling brought her son to the front of the crowd. Even if they died, they would die first because they had to ensure the loss of the entire Xuanzong sect. Although the cultivation of the two of them was insignificant, this was her husband's sect after all. All of you protect the sect. Don't act rashly. This formation was set up by the sect leader. It must be able to block their formation. We must believe that they can't break through the formation. At this moment, Jean Ling and Jean In, who were standing at the forefront of the sect, turned around and spoke confidently to the tens of thousands of people behind them. However, they knew that although this formation was set up by Lin Ray, the number of people on the other side was not large. Whether it was 100,000 or 200,000 people, for such a large number of people, the formation in front of them to protect the sect was useless. As for whether or not it could protect the sect, even Jean Ling couldn't guarantee it. The reason why she said this was to let them gauge the morale. Yes, we swear to protect the sect with our lives. As soon as these words were said, Everyone's eyes were filled with the light of death. It was as if they could already see their own end. All of this had happened so quickly, and Linley was just as relaxed as he was now. Oh, just as Linley thought that he would be able to return to planet Aqua Blue in one piece, an unexpected foe suddenly appeared. Suddenly, a wolf-like roar that was similar to the roar of a dragon could be heard. Linley's expression immediately changed. He had been chatting and laughing with Linley, but upon hearing the roar of the beast, his face changed. A grave look appeared on his face. Oh no, something that I didn't want to come is coming secretly. How unlucky. Lin Ray felt that something was wrong. After hearing the little dragon's words, he knew that the thing that the little dragon didn't want to see was the space-time beast that the two of them had talked about earlier. Their eyes met. The little dragon knew what was on Lin Ray's mind and nodded at each other, indicating that Lin Ray's idea was right. Hiss! Lin Ray sucked in a breath of cold air, trying to calm himself down as much as possible. However, as time passed, Lin Ray found that he didn't know how to calm down at all. Damn, little dragon, didn't you say that if we don't make any noise, that thing won't wake up? What's the situation now? Tell me. At this moment, Lin Ray's words were incomparable. He didn't know how to speak properly. The space-time beast was not an immortal emperor or immortal venerable demon beast. It was an existence that even saints were afraid of. Okay. Don't tell me first. Let me think. There must be a way. There must be. Boom! Suddenly, a sense of danger gradually became clear. The pressure also approached. Immediately, Lin Ray's back was drenched in cold sweat. Damn, little dragon, are you done yet? That thing is coming. Lin Ray, who was stepping on the void, was filled with helplessness. At this moment, he wished that he couldn't step on the void and just fall down from here. If he died like this, it would be the end of all his troubles. I know. I'm checking. Be patient. The little dragon had known Lin Ray's impatient character for a day or two. Therefore, when Lin Ray urged him, the little dragon faced it with a calm smile. For a moment, no matter how angry Lin Ray was, he was helpless when he saw the little dragon's expression that made him want to cry. Ding dong. Danger is coming. Use 2 lottery chances in exchange for 1 chance to escape. Ding dong. Time limit. 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. I promise. Hurry up and exchange for me. I want to leave this place immediately. Just when Lin Ray was helpless, the system's electronic synthesis business sounded. But at this moment, the sound was so pleasant and not harsh at all. Listening to the system's transaction, Lin Ray was very hesitant. But at the last second, when the system said it, Lin Ray agreed. In the end, his emotions won over his rationality. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for successfully exchanging. Ding ding, host. Although I said to escape, I didn't say to leave immediately. As soon as the system said this, Lin Ray's anger rose to a new level. It made Lin Ray have the urge to go up and tear him apart. F***CK, you can't say so much. You even used 2 of my lottery chances. Tell me, are you? Ding dong. Please be quiet, host. Although I said that I don't have a way to make you come over, I never said that I can't hide your body and all your vitality. This kind of concealment will make it impossible for anyone in this world to sense your existence. Boo! Lin Ray exhaled in one breath. In an instant, his nervous heart relaxed. The anger from before disappeared. However, Lin Ray really felt that the system had learned bad things from the little dragon. Okay, hurry up and do it. Feeling that the dangerous atmosphere was approaching, Lin Ray had to leave quickly. Otherwise, not to mention going back, he was afraid that there would be nothing left of him. However, at this time, Lin Ray felt that his strength as an immortal emperor was still very weak. Ding dong, okay, it's done. What? Done? After hearing the system's playful words, he was suspicious for a moment. However, he immediately confirmed the system's meaning. Just when Lin Ray was questioning the system, a huge figure appeared in front of him. It was a huge figure, but it looked very domineering. Hee boy, look carefully. This is the space-time beast. Chapter 417. It was so close. At this moment, the space-time beasts were so close to him. Linray was shocked. Linray was even more certain that when he became powerful in the future, he would capture a few space-time beasts to guard the gate of the sect. Moreover, Linray had a great idea. He would try to capture a few couples of space-time beasts. As long as they could reproduce, there would be many space-time beasts in the sect. The most important thing was that they could be trained from young. The little dragon saw Lin Ray's bold fantasy. At the same time, Lin Ray's ignorance gave him a headache. However, on second thought, it was not impossible. That's enough, kid. Keep the saliva from your mouth. We have to leave quickly. There is a limit to this safety zone. It will disappear soon. At that time, you will really have no way out. Linley, who was still immersed in all kinds of fantasies, heard Xiaolong's reminder and his body shook. He instantly came back to his senses and fled in the direction Xiaolong had pointed. He didn't want Xiaolong's words to be true, and he had already disappeared safely. The consequences of that were unimaginable. He disappeared in front of the space-time beasts and fled in the direction of the aqua-blue planet. Fellow members of the Xuanzong sect, if you know what's good for you, you'd better open the gate and let us in. Otherwise, your sect will be destroyed. At this moment, the entrance to the Sky Vault was crowded with people. Hundreds of thousands of people were standing in front of the Sky Vault's entrance. Their faces were filled with murderous intent, as if their weapons had been hungry for a long time. If it weren't for the array in front of them, they would have rushed forward and killed. The person who shouted at the Xuanzong sect was recognized by everyone in the Xuanzong sect. He was Jian Wudi, the father of Jian Feng, the head of the law enforcement department of the Xuanzong sect. Although Jian Wudi's eyes were hidden, he did not hide his greed. His voice was so loud that it was accompanied by a majestic sword chi. Even from 1,000 meters away, Jian Wudi's words could be heard clearly, let alone the people of the Xuanzong sect who were only one barrier away. Why are you doing this? At this moment, inside the Xuanzong sect, which was only separated by a barrier, Jian Feng, a senior member of the Xuanzong sect, was standing in front of the group. When he heard the voice of his father, he narrowed his eyes and the corners of his mouth trembled slightly. Jian Feng's voice was bitter, and his face was as pale as a sheet of paper. Jian Feng's body trembled as he asked a few questions. He gripped his sword tightly in his hand as he lowered his head in confusion. Why are you doing this? You clearly know that I'm the head of the law enforcement department in the Xuanzong sect. Why are you colluding with them? What do you want me to do? He grimaced hoarsely as a trace of blood flowed out from the sword. His other hand, that wasn't holding the sword, clenched tightly. Perhaps he had used too much strength. Her nails had dug deep in her palms, but she didn't realize it. It was as if she didn't feel any pain at all. Many people saw this seriously, including Jinling. She understood Jian Feng's feelings at this moment. They all understood Jian Feng's feelings at this moment. If it were them, they might not have Jian Feng's temperament. Perhaps they would have rushed out long ago, pointed at their father's nose, and started shouting angrily. Brother, don't be like this. Father might have his difficulties. A weak and submissive voice sounded. Suddenly, Jian Feng, who was originally confused by his father's actions, woke up slightly after hearing this voice. He turned his head and looked at his sister, Jian Lian, who was holding his arm. At this moment, his eyes were filled with fear, but more than that, he felt heartache. Perhaps it was because his emotions had affected Jian Lian. At this moment, Jian Lian's body was trembling slightly. Jian Lian, who was originally weak, was on the verge of collapsing. It was as if a gentle breeze could blow her body away. It's okay. Lian, you don't have to worry. I'm here for you. It's okay. In order to not let his sister worry, the only thing Jian Feng could do was to pull himself together and try not to let his previous emotions reappear. This was because he didn't want his sister to be worried and afraid with him. He wanted to protect his sister. Okay, she replied in a weak voice. Then, her weak body burrowed into Jian Feng's embrace and stuck close to him. Sigh. A sigh sounded from the surrounding higher-ups of the Xuanzong sect. They all knew that in the face of such a situation, The only one who was in a difficult position was Jian Feng himself. How should he make a choice when facing his father, his former family, friends, and fellow disciples? Of course, no one wanted to see their family turn against each other. However, what they didn't want to see even more was Jian Feng betraying his own sect and joining the Sword Sect to help them attack the Xuanzong Sect. All right, Jian Feng, send your sister back to the Heavenly Qin Palace. That is the main palace of the sect. Even if they break in, they will not arrive immediately. If they really break in, you should quickly take your sister and leave the sect. Do you understand? At this moment, Jean Ling really couldn't stand it anymore. She couldn't bear to let the father and son turn against each other, because she also had a son. She didn't want to do this. The only thing she could do was to do this. No matter what everyone thought, she would take responsibility for this decision. As soon as she said this, all the higher-ups of the Xuanzong sect were stunned. They didn't expect Jean Ling to make such a choice. However, they all agreed to this choice. Therefore, after Jean Ling said this, they didn't express their intentions and tacitly agreed to this matter. Looking at the actions of the higher-ups, Jean Ling knew that everyone had agreed to what she had said just now. Then, a smile appeared on her face. No, the sect has done me a favor, and the sect leader has done me a great favor. I can't take myself out of the sect's life and death situation. This won't do. After saying that, he didn't wait for anyone to speak. He immediately turned around and pulled Jian Lian out of his arms. He said to her, "Little sister, you know about what happened today? I'm destined to fight today. As for you, I don't have time to take care of you now. Be good. Go to Tianshan Palace and wait for my triumphant return. At that time, I'll definitely give you what you want." With such a righteous act, everyone had nothing to say. They didn't say anything. They all turned around and let the siblings say goodbye. Perhaps this was the last time they would see each other. But Jian Lian, who was about to say something, was interrupted by Jian Feng. "Don't say anything. Don't worry. I'll be fine. Sword Sect, although they came to attack, I won't fight them head-on. I'll kill others. Don't worry." As his sister, she naturally knew Jian Feng's temper. Therefore, looking at her brother's serious face, Jian Lian knew that there was no chance to retort. "Yes, I know. Take this. Father said that this is my sister's dowry in the future. I'll wait for you to come back and hand it to me personally." As she spoke, she stuffed a phoenix seal hairpin into Jian Feng's hand. Then, she quickly disappeared on the spot with a red face. Come out and surrender. This is your last chance. Otherwise, you can wait for death." Just as everyone was immersed in the sadness of Jian Feng and his sister's parting, a sudden furious voice pulled everyone back to the present. Jian Wudi, you old man. When you came to my sect as a guest, what kind of face did you have? Now, what kind of mouth do you have? As the leader of a sect, you're really amazing." Jean Ling couldn't stand Jian Wudi's voice. Then, she roared angrily. Suddenly, there was complete silence outside. However, when this voice reached the ears of the sect leaders, family leaders, and emperor lords, they wanted to laugh. But they had to hold it in for the sake of the Sword Sect leader. You. At this moment, Jian Wudi was so angry that he was about to die. He was just short of spontaneously combusting. "Fine, you can do it. Since you're so stubborn, we don't need to talk nonsense. Let's fight." The exasperated Jian Wudi didn't care about the face of the sect leader anymore. Then, he turned around and gave an order to his disciples. "Disciples of the Sword Sect, it's time for you to contribute to the sect. In a while, attack the barrier in the sky with all your strength. Remember, after you break through and enter, you must not touch the young lady of the young sect leader. Do you understand?" As soon as these words were spoken, the disciples of the Sword Sect who were already sharpening their swords instantly straightened their backs and replied energetically, "Yes, we will obey the sect leader's orders." Swish, swish, swish. The moment the disciples of the Sword Sect responded, they changed. With a 3-foot sword in their hands, they charged towards the invisible barrier in the sky. More than 10,000 people, The sword sect alone had sent out more than 10,000 people. This number was equivalent to one-third of the disciples of the Xuanzong sect. Boom! More than 10,000 disciples released their cultivation at the same time. Even if a celestial emperor expert was here, they would have to weigh their own strength. Although this kind of strength wouldn't be enough to kill them, it would still hurt their muscles and bones. Their aura instantly soared into the sky. The disciples of the Xuanzong sect behind the barrier felt their aura and were immediately shocked. But fortunately, the Xuanzong sect was established by Lin Rei. If this was a sect like the Kunlun Immortal sect, perhaps such an aura would be able to intimidate them. However, they had miscalculated. The disciples of Xuanzong sect were all monsters, especially the disciples brought up from the profound heaven realm. At this moment, each of them could become an overlord. Therefore, they naturally looked down on such an aura. Attack! I don't believe that this barrier can stop the disciples of the 10,000 sword sect. Attack! Attack! Jian Wudi's order was instantly received by the disciples of the 10,000 sword sect. Then, the disciples of the 10,000 sword sect raised their long swords in unison and struck down on the barrier in the sky. Boom! Although the sound was shocking, after the sound, everything returned to normal. There was no change, and there was no crack in the barrier in Jian Wudi's heart. Chapter 4:18. What? How is this possible? Jian Wudi, who had been secretly delighted at first, couldn't find an exit when he saw the empty sky. Jian Wudi's face was extremely ugly, as if he had eaten his own feces. It was disgusting. Ha! Jian Wudi, your sect is really something. Tens of thousands of people can't even break through a sect's sect protection array. Did you do it on purpose? That's right, sect leader Jian. You're making things difficult for us. That's enough. Maybe sect leader Jian has more powerful tricks up his sleeve. Maybe this is just a test. At this moment, the sect leaders, family leaders, and emperors who were watching the show all began to mock Jian Wudi. Suddenly, Jian Wudi's face turned red from the top of his head to the bottom of his feet. At this moment, he really wanted to find a hole to hide in and never come out again. Even so, he did not want to listen to this group of despicable people laughing at him. The mocking voices of the emperors and family leaders who came with him made Jian Wudi want to rush up and kill them immediately. However, he realized that there was an anomaly among them. The Array Emperor Zhu Tiantong. At this moment, the Array Emperor Zhu Tiantong was in a trance. He looked hesitant, as if he was thinking about something. He did not look at the scene at all. It could be said that Zhu Tiantong did not look at it all. Jian Wudi was stunned when he saw Zhu Tiantong's expression. He knew what Zhu Tiantong was thinking. It was none other than Zhu Qinxi, the granddaughter of the Xuanzong sect. Oh, what's wrong? Sect leader Jian, you're done? A protruding, sharp voice rang out. Jian Wudi looked up and saw a shifty-eyed man with a wretched smile looking at him. Jian Wudi knew this man. Wasn't he the family leader of the Bai family, Bai Yin? Seeing Bai Yin's sarcasm, Jian Wudi was instantly enraged. All the repressed emotions from before erupted. He teleported in front of Bai Yin, pointed at his nose, and began to scold him. Old man, what are you talking about? Why don't you take a look at yourself? You dare to come out and meet people like this? I really admire you. Tell me, if you look like this, then what would your wife look like? Oh, by the way, do you think it's hereditary? Jian Wudi? As the saying goes, one goes for wool and comes home shorn, lifting a rock only to drop it on one's own foot. At this moment, Bai Yin was exactly like that. Originally, he wanted to take this opportunity to humiliate Jian Wudi. Who would have thought that he would be humiliated instead? He had nothing to say. However, as soon as Jian Wudi finished speaking, the people from the various sects, clans, and empires began to laugh. Even some of the people who weren't afraid of the Bai family were laughing so hard that they were convulsing with laughter. As soon as this scene happened, the situation went out of control. Before they could even realize what they were thinking, the united group had already disbanded. Watching this farce, the disciples of the Xuanzong Sect in the Sky Dome, Xuanzong Sect felt more cheerful and relaxed. However, good things didn't last long. Seeing this scene, the sect leader of the Floating Falls Sect was instantly enraged. He released his late-stage, immortal Emperor cultivation and roared towards the sky. Enough! Enough of this joke! Have you all forgotten why you're here? Boom! The sound waves exploded in the ears of the hundreds of thousands of disciples. Instantly, everyone recovered. In just a short moment, the originally chaotic crowd returned to their usual solemn silence in the next moment. Formation Emperor will have to trouble you this time. Everyone knows that the Formation Emperor's formation is famous in the immortal world. Swoosh! The sect leader of the Qinquan sect said. Instantly, everyone's eyes locked onto the Formation Emperor, Zhu Tiantong. Everyone's eyes were filled with confidence as they looked at Zhu Tiantong. Instantly, Zhu Tiantong felt goosebumps all over his body. Although he looked good on the surface, the bitterness in his heart was unbearable. Looking at the sect leader of the Qinquan sect, Zhu Tiantong already hated him in his heart. At this moment, whoever stood out would be the first to be shot. As the saying goes, the gun shoots the bird that sticks out. If the Xuanzong sect wasn't destroyed, then Zhu Tiantong would be the one to bear the brunt of this. Everyone, I'm really sorry. Originally, this old man thought that this formation would be easy to solve. However, only now did I realize that this formation is actually a Grandmaster formation. With this old man's current cultivation and formation level, it's still not enough to solve this formation. The moment these words came out, the crowd went into an uproar. They didn't expect these words to come out of the mouth of the Formation Emperor, Zhu Tiantong. However, what shocked them even more was that this formation was actually a Grandmaster formation. They knew that in the immortal world, formation masters who could set up Grandmaster formations had already retired from the public eye. However, here, at this moment, they couldn't help but wonder if this Xuanzong sect had a strong backing behind it. Everyone started to hesitate. However, this was indeed something that the sect leader of the Qinquan sect didn't want to see. He hoped that this matter would blow up even more. It would be best if the Xuanzong sect was destroyed. Everyone listen to me. Although this is a Grandmaster formation, everyone can imagine that this place itself is very strange. Therefore, everyone need not worry. I've done my research. This Xuanzong sect doesn't have any backing behind it. Everyone had their own opinions. However, as the sect leader of the Qinquan sect, everyone still had some degree of trust. As for this Grandmaster formation, it wasn't unbreakable. After a moment of hesitation, everyone's hesitant eyes were filled with determination. They were prepared to destroy the Xuanzong sect. Seeing this, Zhu Tiantong made his decision. He didn't want to participate in this event. For the sake of his granddaughter who had died in the Xuanzong sect, and for the sake of his own life and the lives of his own disciples, he chose to withdraw. If that's the case, then this old man's cultivation is useless. Since that's the case, the Formation Emperor's bloodline will withdraw and not participate in this event. As soon as this was said, everyone was stunned. This action was undoubtedly saying that there was something strange about the Xuanzong sect. Without waiting for the crowd to speak, the Array Emperor dynasty led their disciples away, leaving the crowd's line of sight. At this moment, all the sects regained their senses. When they saw that the spot where the Formation Emperor had been standing was empty, they couldn't help but feel unhappy. However, the happiest person was none other than the head of the Xuanzong sect's formation department, Zhu Chenxi. Her grandfather didn't participate in this event. This was what made her the happiest. Congratulations, your grandfather. At this moment, Jian Feng saw the happy Zhu Chenxi and hurriedly congratulated her. However, Zhu Chenxi noticed the disappointment that flashed across his eyes. She didn't try to persuade him. Instead, she quietly followed behind him and looked at the disappointed Jian Feng without saying a word. The departure of the Formation Emperor was undoubtedly good news for the Xuanzong sect. However, just as everyone in the Xuanzong sect was rejoicing, They didn't notice that the last Daluo Golden Immortal Cultivator was slowly walking towards the sealed door. However, no one saw this scene, let alone noticed it. Laugh all you want. You are all very happy that the Formation Emperor has left. However, you don't know that the Formation Emperor is just a decoration. Everyone, did I really bet all my chips to break open the Xuanzong Sect's entrance on Zhu Tiantong? No one noticed that when the Formation Emperor left, the sect leader of the Qinquan Sect's lips curled up slightly. A treacherous smile appeared on his face, but it disappeared in an instant. All sects, empires, and families, charge forward. Use all your cultivation to break the formation in front of you. The sudden order caught everyone off guard, and they all obeyed it, as if they were at the behest of gods and devils. In an instant, hundreds of thousands of people released their cultivation and began to attack the Xuanzong Sect's protective formation. Boom, boom, boom. Although the formation was a Grandmaster formation, hundreds of thousands of people were not a small number. One should know that there were countless celestial emperors among them. Slowly, the formation began to tremble violently. When the people of the Xuanzong Sect at the entrance saw this scene, Jean Ling panicked. Although she had seen big scenes with Lin Rei, she had never seen such a scene before. Everyone, retreat at full speed to the Vermilion Bird Palace. Be prepared to fight at any time. The sudden order caused everyone to quickly retreat to the top of a palace 1,000 meters away from the entrance. However, far away in the central region, Ling Yu, Kuei Gang, and the other 16 Azura Celestial Emperors were rushing towards the east. Along the way, they heard a lot about the Xuanzong Sect. Naturally, they couldn't miss out on the news of the Xuanzong Sect being besieged. At this point, everyone released all their cultivation and began to fly towards the Xuanzong Sect's encampment. No, we have to speed up. If this continues, the Xuanzong Sect will be hard to protect. We will be guilty of failing our duty. Before the young master left, he told us to protect the sect without any losses. At this moment, Ling Yu's expression was anxious. Cold sweat flowed down his face and dripped to the ground. Yes, we didn't do a good job. We could have finished it quickly, but we didn't expect the entrance to the Devil's Den to have such a strong restriction. If it wasn't for that restriction, we would have arrived at the sect by now. It turned out that after Ling Yu and Kuei Gang left, they came to the entrance of the Devil's Den unexpectedly. When they were about to go out, they were blocked by an extremely strong restriction and were bounced back. It should be known that Kuei Gang and Ling Yu were Celestial Emperors. Although they were blocked by a restriction, in order to complete the task as soon as possible, they were finally able to escape after 5 days. Then, they quickly rushed to the Xuanzong Sect's encampment. Chapter 419. Oh no, mistress, look. At this moment, the members of the Xuanzong Sect had retreated to the back of the Vermilion Bird Palace. The head of the law enforcement department, Jian Feng, suddenly saw a person wearing the uniform of the Xuanzong Sect. He was holding a token and was already in front of the seal. What was even more unbelievable was that the person had already placed the token in front of him and was about to activate the seal. Seeing this scene, a sense of danger suddenly surged in his heart. He quickly reported to Jean Ling and instantly rushed towards a disciple in front of the prohibition at full speed. Jian Feng's voice caught everyone's attention. Immediately after, everyone's gaze turned towards the direction where Jian Feng was going. Someone had already placed the token in the slot to open the enchantment. Everyone was shocked. Then they felt a sense of danger. At the same time, the same thought appeared in everyone's mind. There was a traitor. Boom! Suddenly, there was a loud sound. Then, the seal that protected the entire Xuanzong Sect disappeared. Then, the door opened. Jian Feng, who was the first to realize that something was wrong, stopped abruptly and stared blankly at the scene before him. Creak, creak, a scene that no one wanted to see happened. At this moment, the door of the Xuanzong Sect was slowly opening. However, the members of the Xuanzong Sect looked disappointed and alert. They looked as if they were ready to die. On the other hand, the allies who were trying their best to attack the seal smiled when they saw the door slowly opening. Haha, look, The door of the Xuanzong sect is opening. Ha, that's right. It seems like the heavens are going to destroy the Xuanzong sect. In an instant, the passers-by who were watching this scene started to laugh at the Xuanzong sect's misfortune. It wasn't just these passers-by. The allies were elated as well. However, the happiest person was none other than the Grandmaster of Qinquan's sect. He had heard about this matter from the Qinquan sect leader. Initially, he had asked the Qinquan sect to investigate the sect that had suddenly appeared. Who would have thought that 100 years later, this sect was actually established by the disciples of the Xuanzong sect? Therefore, he had ordered the Qinquan sect leader to be on standby. Now, he had even obeyed the orders of the Qinquan sect leader and opened the door to the Xuanzong sect. Therefore, the outcome was completely within the control of the Qinquan sect leader. You bastard! At this moment, Jian Feng, who was standing not too far away, was prepared to sacrifice himself for the sect. Grasping the 3-chi chilling light of a top-grade immortal artifact in his hand, Jian Feng had already grasped the myriad sword formula. He utilized it on his face, ready to charge forward at a moment's notice. Sect leader, you're the one who gave me the strength I have today. Even if I have to sacrifice my lowly life, I will fight to the last one until I die. Boom! Using the cultivation method, the cultivation of the golden immortal electric lamp Gull rushed out in an instant. Looking at the cultivators who could not wait to rush in, Jian Feng could no longer hold back the cold light on his body and rushed out in an instant. The long sword in his hand seemed to be alive. Sword chi flew out automatically without Jian Feng's control and rushed toward the cultivators who rushed in. However, when this happened, the traitor of the Xuanzong sect took advantage of this gap and rushed out of the sky dome boundary. He came to the side of the Qinquan sect leader who was in the sky outside. He nodded his head and bowed curiously as if he was asking for a reward. It was as if a husky was afraid of a dog. After seeing this scene, the sect masters, emperor lords, and family heads were no fools. They instantly understood what was going on. Haha, no wonder they couldn't wait to attack the Xuanzong sect. It turns out that they have planted a disciple of the Qinquan sect in the Xuanzong sect. TSK, TSK, TSK. What a vicious move. Sai, that's right. When we get back, I have to check my disciples to see if there are any spies from other sections. The actions of the Qinquan sect shocked everyone, including the Xuanzong sect. They didn't expect that under such good conditions, there would still be people who would do such a thing. However, at this moment, they didn't have the time to think about such things. Now that the enemy had broken through their doorstep, what they wanted to do most was to pick up the weapons in their hands and kill the invaders. Of course, that was what they did. Jian Feng was covered in blood from head to toe. However, it was all someone else's blood. As for Jian Feng, it could be said that he could hold back 10,000 men by himself. The invincible aura he exuded frightened the invaders. As the saying went, one step kills one person. At this moment, Jian Feng was most fitting of this saying. Not only did he kill one person with one step, but he would also kill many people with each step he took. Basically, Jian Feng had passed through the corpses of his enemies. This aura ignited the blood of all the disciples of the Xuanzong sect. Jian Feng's actions made all the disciples of the Xuanzong sect want to learn from him. Uncontrollably, all of the Xian sect disciples let out a loud roar at the same time. Their aura instantly rose, accompanied by a murderous aura. At this moment, they could no longer control their aura. Boys, this is a crisis for our Xuanzong sect. Our Xuanzong sect has never caused trouble. However, we are willing to use our strength, and we are never afraid of trouble. If others bully us, what do you think we should do? Looking at the expressions of the crowd, Jean Ling quickly stepped forward and roared at them. Her tone was full of murderous aura and stubbornness. Her whole person was exuding a very charming aura at this moment. If others bully us, we will definitely exterminate their entire family to increase the prestige of our Xuanzong sect. We can't be ignored, and we can't let others trample on us at will. Everyone was in agreement. This scene stunned everyone, especially the enemies who were continuously rushing in from outside. After seeing this moment, they unconsciously took a step back. "Ah, good." Hearing the words of the Xuanzong sect disciples, Jean Ling smiled. Then, she said to the crowd in a firm tone, "Cultivation, follow me to kill." Although Jean Ling's cultivation was at the level of a golden immortal, she couldn't retreat at this moment. Because if she retreated at this moment, the entire Xuanzong sect would be finished. The moment Jean Ling finished speaking, she held the 3-foot-long cold light in her hand and turned into a stream of light that instantly rushed to the front and joined the battle. "Die, all of you!" In an instant, the people of the Xuanzong sect who saw Jean Ling rushing forward did not stop. They rushed forward in an instant and began a fierce battle with the enemy. All the disciples of the Xuanzong sect were 1 in a million, and they had all undergone professional training. Even their cultivation methods were many times better than the cultivation methods of the disciples of other sections. In addition, Lin Rei had personally taught them martial skills and weapons. Of course, these bastards in front of them were no match for them. After one round, they were all killed by the weapons of the disciples of the Xuanzong sect. At this moment, Wang Kuei, Wang Wen, dozens of immortal emperors, Bing Ming, Tian Yuan, and the others were all summoned by Lin Rei. When Lin Rei's cultivation increased to the early stage of the immortal emperor realm, their cultivation also increased to the peak of the late stage of the immortal emperor realm. However, at this moment, they did not act rashly, nor did they participate in the battle. At this moment, they were staring at the enemy immortal emperors. They wanted to preserve their strength to resist those immortal emperors. On the other side, there were more than 30 immortal emperors. This was a very large number. If it were other people at this moment, they would definitely be afraid and surrender. However, they were all Lin Rei's subordinates, so they were not afraid at all. "Haha, everyone, let's go and meet them. It's really not good to leave us idle like this." At this moment, Ming looked at the more than 30 immortal emperors on the other side. In an instant, his battle intent soared to the sky. The sky piercer in his hand could not wait to rush forward and join the battle. "Aha, I have the same intention. In that case, let's have a competition to see who can kill more immortal emperors. However, remember, you have to live." Whoosh! Tian Yuan, who had been quarreling with Ming, held his weapon the moment he finished speaking. In an instant, he disappeared. When he reappeared, he was in front of the immortal emperors on the other side. As the saying goes, one must pick the soft persimmon to pinch. When Tian Yuan reappeared, he was beside an early-stage immortal emperor. Since you have come to the Xuanzong sect, you should be prepared to be killed." As soon as these words were spoken, the immortal emperor reacted. Just as he was about to counterattack, he suddenly felt a sharp pain at the back of his neck. His body went soft and fell to the ground. After that, his vitality slowly disappeared. However, the moment he killed the first immortal emperor, Tian Yuan disappeared again. He circled around the low-level immortal emperors. This scene made Bing and Ming feel helpless. They looked at each other, and in an instant, more than 10 immortal emperors rushed out. Each of them took out their special skills, and the chaotic battle began. However, the ones who felt the most heartache were those sects, empires, and clans that came to besiege the Xuanzong sect. To them, the immortal emperors were their top forces. Seeing the number of immortal emperors they brought being killed, and the number of immortal emperors was decreasing, their hearts ached. How can this be? They are all immortal emperors. Even if they were slightly weaker, they shouldn't have been killed in a single move. This is impossible. At this moment, Jian Wudi's face was filled with fear. He had never seen such a terrifying strength. If he had known that an immortal emperor of the same realm could be killed in a single move, he wouldn't have been killed even if he didn't fight for several days and nights. However, what he saw now was the truth. The immortal emperors of his sect were killed by the Xuanzong sect's immortal emperors in a single move. This was a great humiliation. At the same time, it was also a loss for his sect. Such an existence, I don't know how that brat from Xuanzong sect trained them. To think that an immortal emperor could kill an immortal emperor of the same realm with a single move. Such a thing has never happened before in the immortal world. Chapter 420. The truth was right in front of their eyes. They had no choice but to believe it. Seeing the immortal emperors that they had painstakingly nurtured being killed, even if it was for the sake of resources, their hearts would still ache. However, it wasn't just one or two who had died. At this moment, Bing and the others had 12 immortal emperors. After the first round of attacks, the Chinquin sect had lost 7 immortal emperors. This number was enough to make their hearts ache. On the other hand, the Xuanzong sect was completely fine. There wasn't even a scratch on them. When this scene happened, even the tens of thousands of Xuanzong sect disciples who were in the midst of the chaotic battle felt their fighting strength increase to another level. The rush of killing 7 immortal emperors was a good start for their counterattack. They didn't disappoint. The first wave of attacks from several sects had finally come to an end. At this moment, the scene at the entrance of the Xuanzong sect was like a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. It was like hell. It was extremely eerie and chilling, especially when they saw the Xuanzong sect disciples on top of the mountain of corpses. They held bloody weapons in their hands. Their bodies, including their faces, were covered in blood. Their eyes were fierce and murderous. Every Xuanzong sect disciple was like an corpse that had walked out from hell. It was terrifying. Seeing this scene, the Xuanzong sect disciples knew that their chances of winning were very slim. However, they didn't expect the Xuanzong sect to provoke the intruders at the entrance of the Xuanzong sect. Broken dogs. To think that you're still barking here. Do you really think that I don't have a way to destroy you? At this moment, the Chinquin sect leader stood in the air and looked at the dead disciples with the same expression. It was as if the deaths had nothing to do with him. However, the others didn't think so. They knew that the people here were the elites that they had brought along. They were the mainstays of their families, empires, and sections. So many of them had died in such a short time. Their hearts were bleeding. Their hearts ached for their dead brothers, friends, and clansmen. They never thought that this would be their final resting place. However, what shocked them the most was that the immortal emperors were powerful, but they didn't expect the people below them to be so powerful. For a moment, everyone began to have the intention to recruit these people. I'm the Sword Sect's sect master, Jian Wudi. I'm sure all of you are familiar with me. I'm the father of your law enforcement department's sect master. Right now, there are 2 choices before all of you. The first is to submit to me and become a disciple of my sword sect. In the future, I'll definitely put all of you in an important position. No one had expected Jian Wudi to come forward and offer an olive branch to the Xuanzong sect at this time. Of course, the others were even more unwilling to accept this. Immediately, the recruitment meeting began. No, I'm from Bai Clan. Come to the Bai Clan, and I'll give you the best resources. Who do you think you are? Come to my Kunlun sect. My Kunlun sect is the guardian of a region. Come to my proud heaven empire. Come to my Kunlun sect, and I'll give you the titles of nobles and generals. You'll be a man above all men, and you'll enjoy the admiration of the world. One by one, these people began to openly recruit the Chinquin Immortal Sect's sect master. At this moment, the Chinquin sect's sect master's face was red with anger. However, to the disciples of the Profound sect, their recruitment was nothing more than a show. They thought that the Profound sect's disciples were merely showing off. Enough nonsense. Kill them all. This time, I'll destroy the Xuanzong sect. A roar rang out. Everyone was stunned. Of course, no one moved because of the order. Only the tens of thousands of Chinquin sect's disciples moved. Yes, we'll destroy the Xuanzong sect. After receiving the order, the disciples of Chinquin sect moved and began to kill the Xuanzong sect once again. Kill! Without holding back, the disciples of the Xuanzong sect raised their weapons and charged forward. However, Jin Ling was already exhausted. After all, Jin Ling's cultivation was only at the golden immortal realm. In front of someone stronger than her, her little tricks were not worth mentioning. However, when Bing noticed this, he decisively killed the immortal emperor in front of him. Humph, the emperor doesn't have time to waste with you. In this, I seal, ice crystal terror. Suddenly, an extremely cold space appeared around the immortal emperor who was facing ice. On the spatial wall, icicles with terrifying aura instantly pierced through the immortal emperor who was trapped. Pu. Under such circumstances, the immortal emperor had no ability to fight back. Firstly, he was not as strong as Bing. Secondly, his cultivation techniques and martial techniques were not as strong as Bing's. Therefore, he could only face the situation of being killed. After it ended, Bing was not in the mood to stay in the air. He was very worried about Jean Ling's life because this concerned Lin Ray. He knew that she had to protect everything about Lin Ray, no matter what it was, whether it was him or the property. In an instant, Bing, who had disappeared, reappeared next to Jean Ling. At this moment, Jean Ling was exhausted. At the same time, a cold sword was coming down on her from above. Oof, you're courting death. After a cold snort, Jin Bing waved his sleeve, and the cultivator was annihilated by Bing without leaving even a trace of his body. However, as soon as the scene appeared, Jean Ling immediately reacted. Then, she turned around and saw the existence of ice. Thank you. Plop. Perhaps because she was too tired, she fainted in Bing's arms after saying this to him. Sister Jean Ling, are you all right? Looking at the unconscious Jean Ling, Bing Shana became anxious. Then, a pure immortal chi was transferred into Jean Ling's body. Bing helped her recover from her previous injuries. After everything was done, Bing finally breathed a sigh of relief. Phew, luckily you're fine. Otherwise, even if I had more of you, it would be useless. However, she did not know that her actions were unintentionally seen by the Chinquin Sect leader in the air. He had an idea, and an idea appeared in his mind. To catch bandits, first catch the leader. Since you guys are so stubborn, don't blame me. Xiao, time to sleep. The Chinquin Sect leader took the initiative. As the leader of a sect, no matter what, he still had some skills. His speed was extremely fast, and in an instant he appeared beside Bing. Bang! Bing was sent flying by the Chinquin Sect leader. Jean Ling was naturally taken away by Chinquin Sect leader. Perhaps because he was too worried about Jean Ling's existence, he was not vigilant of his surroundings. He did not expect that he would let the other party escape. A mouthful of blood spurted out from Bing's mouth. In an instant, Bing's entire face turned pale. Plop, plop. After flying 100 meters, Bing landed on the ground and rolled one round before coming to a stop. Yu. Looking at Jean Ling, who had been taken away, Bing could only trust him. After all, Jean Ling was the backbone of the Chinquin Sect, and it was Lin Ray's aura. She could not let it be threatened. Old man, you're a sect leader. How dare you attack the Emperor so shamelessly? How shameful. Bing had no choice. In order to not let Jean Ling be threatened, he could only do this. Stop pretending. Lin Ray's wife is in my hands. Tell me, what should you do? After saying that, Chinquin Sect leader grabbed Jean Ling's neck. In the air, he used his cultivation to remind the Xuanzong Sect members, stop. Your sect leader's wife is in my hands. Put down your weapons, and I will let you go. Otherwise, I don't know what will happen. Chinquin Sect leader's hand tightened around Jean Ling's neck. Jean Ling's face flashed with a painful expression, but she was the first to cry out. However, Chinquin Sect leader's method was still effective. Sure enough, after hearing Chinquin Sect leader's voice, all the Xuanzong Sect disciples stopped their weapons and looked up at Chinquin Sect leader. Everyone's face was full of anger. Quick, let my mother go. Otherwise, I will kill all of you. Suddenly, Jean In, who was in the crowd, saw that his mother had been caught. He instantly rushed out of the crowd and roared at the crowd. The murderous intent in his eyes was very chilling. Looking at those eyes that could eat people, everyone was stunned. Quick, enter, quick. Go back. Don't worry about me. Looking at her son, Jean Ling instantly panicked. At this moment, her son stood out. He was undoubtedly treated as the target of public criticism. At the heart of the storm, it would definitely be very dangerous. This was not what she, as a mother, wanted to see. However, the more she did not want things to happen, the more they always happened. Lin Rei's son. Since it's like this, I will kill him first. I will let all of you know that Qinquan's sect leader is a man of his word. Whoosh! While everyone was in a daze, a cold light at the speed of light appeared in front of Jin's chest. Without any hesitation, it directly pierced through Jin's body. Ah, no! A furious roar came out of Jinling's mouth. Unfortunately, it was too late. It was too late. At this moment, Jin, who was still there, had a hole in his chest. Blood slowly flowed out from it. Killed. Simple and decisive. Ruthless and dignified. Everyone was dumbfounded. They did not expect Qinquan's sect leader to be so shameless as to use someone else's wife as a bargaining chip to win. They did not dare to agree with this. A scream came out of Jinling's mouth. Tears flowed out of her eyes without any regard for her life. However, these tears were not colorless, but blood red. Yes, it was blood. Watching her own son die in front of her and being unable to do anything about it was such a heart-wrenching thing. Chapter 4:21. This scene shocked everyone present. Of course, as the mother of the deceased, she was quite sad, desperate, and disheartened. Looking at her lifeless son lying on the ground, Jinling really wanted to avenge him, but she knew that she would not be spared today. When the people of the Xuanzong sect saw the corpse of the young master, Jin, they originally wanted to stop it, but they did not have the time. Jinling's hoarse voice made everyone present tremble in fear. They even felt as if their bodies were frozen, and they were rooted to the ground. Looking at Jinling, who was being strangled by the heaven and earth path, Bing's eyes were filled with guilt. He came back to the ground with tears flowing down his face. He said to Jin, I'm sorry, I'm useless. I couldn't protect the young master. I'm sorry. Bing's actions stunned everyone. They did not understand, but Jinling did understand what Bing meant. She laughed. After hearing Bing's words, Jinling laughed. However, no one present wanted to hear such laughter a second time, because such laughter made them feel cold all over, especially the bone-chilling coldness. It was as cold and heartless as 10,000-year-old ice. Get up. This is not your fault. The fault is that this group of people should be killed, but no one can stop them. I'm laughing because I can't see them die because of my anger. I'm laughing because my son is dead, but my Lin family is not extinct. I'm laughing even more at this group of inhumane bastards. Words that made everyone ashamed came out of Jinling's mouth. However, everyone could tell that she was joking because they all knew that when a person said something before they died, 90% of them were true, especially when they looked at Jinling's ruthless and cold face at this moment. Everyone felt that what she said was true. All of you, just you wait. Someone will definitely avenge my son and me. Don't worry, my son and I will definitely walk very slowly on the Nine Nether Path. We will wait for you. Crack. Suddenly, a voice that made one's hair stand on end sounded. After hearing Jinling's words, the heaven and earth path directly cut off Jinling's hand. This kind of pain appeared on a woman's body. No one would be able to endure it, let alone a woman. Don't you want to say it? Since you want to say it, don't you dare faint. Then, this spirit energy directly sealed the wound on Jinling's arm. In an instant, the wound stopped bleeding, but the pain still eroded Jinling's will. Crack! Before anyone could react, Jinling's other arm also disappeared. Instead, blood spurted out. This scene was so bloody that no one dared to look directly at it. There were even some people who were unwilling to see this scene. They immediately turned around and sealed their hearing. No. The people of the Xuanzong sect saw that their mistress was humiliated by the heaven and earth path. They looked at Jinling, who had lost her arm and was in pain. as disciples of the Xuanzong sect. They were powerless in front of the scene in front of them. This was undoubtedly a huge blow to their hearts. Even if today passed, it would still be an obstacle to their future cultivation. Heaven and earth path, you old bastard. How dare you bully my mistress inside? Aren't you afraid that my sect leader will destroy your entire sect? At this moment, the black shadow from the dark sect who had followed Lin Ray for a long time could no longer bear it. He immediately said it out loud and pointed at the heaven and earth path, threatening them with indignation. Heaven and earth path, you old bastard, just you wait. Even if you kill my Xuanzong sect today, when my sect leader returns, he will exterminate your sect. At this moment, the people of the Xuanzong sect were no longer afraid of death. They only hoped that the heaven and earth path could give Jinling a quick death and stop her from being tortured like this. Taoist friend Heaven and Earth, we came here today just to destroy the Xuanzong sect. There's no need to do this. Look at Jinling, she's a woman. Isn't it against the righteous path and against your conscience to attack her like this? That's right, Taoist friend. You've gone too far. F***CK. You should just kill Lin Ray's wife directly. That's right, that's right. Brother Woody is right. Taoist friend Heaven and Earth, hurry up and kill her. You don't have to do this to them. At this moment, the people who came with the heaven and earth path couldn't stand it anymore when they saw how cruel the heaven and earth path was. They immediately tried to persuade the heaven and earth path. However, fortunately, they still had a lot of face. After listening to everyone's explanation, the heaven and earth path had no choice but to agree. Okay, today I'll do you a favor. I'll kill Jinling right away. Just you wait. Sooner or later, I'll kill all of you one by one. At that time, I'll make you beg for death. Although the heaven and earth path's face was full of smiles, his heart was extremely gloomy. Puff, puff. She was killed. Blood gushed out and fell from the sky like rain. However, when this scene appeared, everyone's eyes narrowed, their pupils contracted, and their faces were full of anger. Although the heaven and earth path agreed to kill Jinling, they didn't say how to do it. However, no one expected that the heaven and earth path would be so cruel. Even if she died, she didn't leave a way out for others. Her head, arms, and legs were all separated. Her death was so cruel that it was unbearable to look at. In the sky above the central region of the Pacific Ocean on planet Aqua Blue, Lin Ray, who had returned from the immortal realm, had arrived at the place where the Pishio was imprisoned. I'm finally back. Along the way, I've really experienced 81 difficulties. At this time, Lin Ray's clothes were ragged and his hair was disheveled. He looked exactly like a beggar. You still have the nerve to say that. In the space, I told you not to move around, but you didn't. Every time, you're so busy. Remember, if you do this again, don't say that I didn't warn you. At this time, the little dragon, who had been following closely beside him, lectured him with a sullen face. Suddenly, just as Lin Ray was about to jump into the sea, he felt a sudden pain in his chest and tears flowed from his eyes unconsciously. What's wrong? The little dragon's heart skipped a beat when he saw Lin Ray's situation. He quickly came forward and asked with concern. However, at this moment, Lin Ray's soul seems to have left his body. He didn't hear the little dragon at all. The pain in his heart is getting stronger and stronger. This kind of pain is something that Lin Ray has never experienced before. Hey boy, don't scare me. Did you hear me? Hiss, I say, why are you? After hearing no reaction from Lin Ray, the little dragon shouted again. But halfway through, Lin Ray covered his chest with his hand and explained to the little dragon with eyes full of sorrow. I don't know why, but just now, my heart suddenly hurt, as if I lost something important. My heart is very sad. As he spoke, he touched his cheek with one hand. Tears stained his hand. At this moment, he was even more certain that something must have happened. Otherwise, with his immortal emperor cultivation, this kind of situation wouldn't have happened at all. Well, let's not talk about it first. Hurry up and go into the sea. It's not easy to come here, so you should quickly unlock the seal of the Pishio. Only then can you return to the immortal realm. Moreover, your life won't be in danger. Having known Lin Li for so many years, Xiaolong knew Lin Li's temperament well. Although Xiaolong couldn't say that he was 90% certain, he was certain that Lin Li would listen to him. As long as one wasn't a fool, they would be able to understand the meaning of the little dragon's words. Sure enough, after hearing the little dragon's words, Lin Rei gave up the idea of returning to the immortal realm immediately. Instead, he wasted no time and plunged directly into the Pacific Ocean. In front of Tianxiong Mountain in the immortal realm, the scene at this moment was very solemn. The smell of gunpowder was very oppressive. "Old man, you dare to kill the mistress of the Xuanzong sect. Today, I'll fight with you. Kill him." At this moment, Jian Feng was at the end of his patience. After all, he owed Lin Li a great debt of gratitude. Now that he saw his benefactor's wife being killed with the help of his father, Jian Feng couldn't help but charge forward. His cultivation base instantly soared. With a top-grade immortal artifact in his hand, he began his massacre once again. However, Jin Ling's death ignited the bloodthirst of the Xuanzong sect brothers. If he had known earlier, Jin would have treated them very well. Hee, jumping clowns, all of you can die for this sovereign. The heaven and earth path seemed to have expected such a scene. When he saw this scene, a treacherous smile appeared on his face, just like when his scheme was about to succeed. Heaven and earth technique, heaven and earth destruction, one palm. Kill. The heaven and earth path's cultivation of the exceptional realm of the Celestial Emperor was released instantly. A giant palm appeared in an instant and fell directly from the sky. It didn't matter if the person was a disciple of the Xuanzong sect or not. The palm directly slapped down fiercely. Bang! A loud sound rang out, causing everyone present to reveal a shocked expression. However, at the place where the heaven and earth path had slapped, a huge handprint appeared. At the same time, the huge handprint was filled with corpses. There were hundreds of corpses, and none of them were spared. However, most of the corpses were not from the Xuanzong sect. They were disciples from various sects, empires, and families. When this scene appeared, everyone was unwilling. They had watched these dead people grow up. Some of them were even close to them. Now, they were all dead, slapped to death by the heaven and earth path's palm. Although they were in an alliance now, everyone was selfish in their hearts. At this moment, after seeing their disciples die, Jian Wudi, Xin Dao, and the others were unwilling. Among the dead disciples, the disciples of the Kunlun immortal sect and the sword sect were the most, followed by the Proud Moon Empire and the others. Heaven and earth path, you're too ruthless. You even dare to kill the disciples of the sword sect. Are you courting death? Chapter 422. As the sect leader of the sword sect, he could not bear to see his disciple die tragically. At the same time, he did not want to see the heaven and earth sect being so arrogant, so he immediately reprimanded them. After one person spoke, the others became even more unscrupulous. After hearing Jian Wudi's reprimand, the others also began to criticize the heaven and earth sect for strangling their own disciples to death. That's right. Heaven and earth sect. What are you trying to do? They were all the mainstays of our sect. Now that they were killed by you, tell us, what should we do about this? Yes, tell us. At this moment, the sects of those who were killed by the heaven and earth sect all began to argue with the heaven and earth sect. However, Bing had already gone crazy. She turned a blind eye to the dispute between the sects and empires in the sky. At this moment, she looked at Jin Ling, who was torn apart by the heaven and earth sect, and Jin En, who was killed by an arrow through his chest, with tears in her eyes. Plop! Bing knelt on the ground with a sorrowful expression and kowtowed to Jin Ling. Sister Jin Ling, I'm sorry. I didn't protect well. Back then, young master asked me to protect but now is dead. I've let young master down, and I've let you down even more. I'm sorry that I couldn't let you suffer less. I'm sorry. Bing's voice trembled in front of Jin Ling, and her body was extremely cold at this moment. However, after the fierce battle, More than half of the original tens of thousands of disciples had died. Even 3 of the 12 celestial emperors had died, and 9 of them were killed. This was the most difficult challenge in the history of the Xuanzong sect. Plop, plop. The remaining members of the Xuanzong sect all came behind Bing, knelt down, and coughed deeply at Jinling's corpse. Then, they began to mourn in silence. Looking at this scene, Bing was sobbing silently. Her tears had dried up, and she could no longer shed a single tear. Ah! An angry roar rang out, waking up the people of the Heaven and Earth sect who were arguing. At the same time, the disciples of the Xuanzong sect, who were in silent mourning, were also awakened. Everyone looked at Bing, who was kneeling on the ground, and roared to the sky with hostility. My dead brothers and mistresses, don't worry. If we don't die today, we will definitely uproot all the sects, empires, and families that come here. I don't care if their families are here or not. We will definitely make all the people who participated in the siege today pay with their blood. None will be left alive. His words were so cold that Jian Wudi and the others were shocked. At the same time, the people of the Xuanzong sect were agitated when they heard Bing's words. That's right. If we don't die today, we will definitely kill them all in the future. Let them all accompany you. Brothers, rest in peace. Rest in peace. Boom! Suddenly, the moment they finished speaking, the sound of thunder resounded in the sky, as if acknowledging their words. Hiss! Others didn't understand, but the sect leaders, emperors, and family heads of the major sects knew that this was the acknowledgement of their words by the heavens and earth. It meant that this enmity had been formed, and it would be irreconcilable until one of them died. One of the two sides had to die. Otherwise, the one who betrayed the oath would be destroyed by the thunder tribulation. Humph! Since you don't want to live, don't blame us for being ruthless. You know that cultivation is something that can't be erased in a lifetime. The only way now is to kill all the people in front of you. Leave no one alive. Same. At this point, the heaven and earth path glanced at Jian Wudi, who had an ugly expression on his face, and said, similarly, your son, Jian Wudi, has joined the oath-taker's side. He will fight us to the death for all eternity, unless we die. Hearing this, the crowd looked at Jian Wudi with sympathy. At the same time, they rejoiced in their hearts. Fortunately, my son is not here. This sentence echoed in the hearts of all the sect leaders. Of course, Jian Wudi was the most upset at this moment. He couldn't accept that his son had become his enemy. Humph! Take care of yourselves. Jian Wudi growled at the sympathetic gazes of the crowd and the words of the heaven and earth path with a cold face. Well, in this case, don't bother. Let's make it quick. Let's work together and use your best martial arts to kill him. What do you think? At this time, Bai Yinan, the family head of the Bai family, stood out and said to the crowd. However, because of what had happened before, he couldn't say it out loud. Sure enough, as soon as Bai Yinan's idea was mentioned, the crowd immediately agreed with him. Well, let's do it. Let's start. Everybody agreed. Immediately after, they took out their own weapons and used their own powerful skills. They immediately aimed their weapons at Bing and the other disciples of the Xian sect who were kneeling on the ground. Grey Wolf Sea Moon, twist. Flowing Cloud and Flying Snow, seal. Sky Star Palm, destroy heaven and earth. Powerful martial arts skills that were rarely seen were all used at this moment. The last one was Jian Wudi. After thinking for a while, he finally decided to take action. Sai, that's all. Don't blame me. Who told you to stand with Xianzong and make such a vicious oath? Don't blame me. Swordsmanship code. Sealing rain sword. Sword sealing rain. One sword celestial. The swordsmanship code, the most powerful martial art skill of the swordsmanship sect, was used smoothly by Jian Wudi under the water cloud flowing sword. Streaks of terrifying sword chi filled the surroundings, as if everything would be strangled. It was terrifying. Cruel and merciless. Sure enough, Jian Wudi still thinks that his life is more valuable than his son's in front of his own. Jian Wudi's action was undoubtedly telling the crowd that his life was very valuable. Even if it was his own family in front of him, as long as they stood in his way, he would crush them. Similarly, Jian Feng, who was kneeling on the ground, felt the aura of the swordsmanship code. He immediately looked up at the sky and saw his father, whom he had always respected, holding a sword and pointing it at him. He had to be cautious, ruthless, and sorrowful. Hee. Sure enough, he still wants to kill me. Looking at his father, Jian Feng said with a miserable smile and a self-deprecating tone, "Well, we don't need such things in the future. In this case, we can only fight to protect our lives. Don't forget, the blood debt we bear is all their lives." Bing's words brought the crowd back to their senses. Everyone spoke to the Xuanzong sect with hostility and murderous intent. "Let's fight. If we don't die in this battle, we will massacre all the sects and families and make them pay a painful price." Huh! In the sky, Jian Wudi and the others shouted loudly. Immediately, the martial arts skills that they had been accumulating for a long time could no longer be held back. With a strong pressure and a terrifying aura, they instantly arrived in front of Bing and the others. Seeing the attack so close, Bing and the others felt that their bodies were gradually turning cold, as if they were about to become corpses. Is God going to kill us? Looking at their dead brothers and sisters, looking at the dead mistress and young sect master, and looking at the attack that was so close to them, they felt powerless and closed their eyes, waiting for death to come. However, at this moment, in the sky outside the sect, a group of people was rushing over. When they saw that the Xuanzong sect's disciples were about to die, the young man in the lead immediately released his cultivation, followed by an appropriate amount of immortal spiritual qi. With a wave of his sleeve, the Grim Reaper, who was originally close to Bing, disappeared. However, Bing and the others did not know that after waiting for a long time, they did not feel any pain. Slowly, they opened their eyes. In an instant, a group of people with powerful cultivation had appeared in front of them. Facing these people who had suddenly appeared, Bing did not know who they were, but he could see that they did not have any hostility. However, what shocked the people from the Chinquin sect was that they knew that the martial arts skills that they had just released could not be so easily neutralized. However, the scene in front of them was real. Who are you? Why are you interfering with the affairs of the Chinquin sect and the other sects? Do you want to disappear along with the Xuanzong sect? At this moment, Bing and the others could no longer tolerate the fact that these people had neutralized his attacks silently. This was the first time in his life that he had ever been humiliated like this, and it made him very unhappy. Huh! The man in the lead laughed coldly. Then he turned around and said to Bing, who had already stood up, in a gentle tone, "We are from the Xuanzong sect, and this is the territory of the Xuanzong sect." Hearing this, the people from the Chinquin sect, including Bing and the others, narrowed their eyes. Although the other party did not have any killing intent, they still had to be wary of him. With caution, they prepared themselves for battle and responded to the man's words. "That's right, this is the territory of the Xuanzong sect. We are the only remaining disciples of the Xuanzong sect. May I know who you are?" At this moment, Bing used the word "sir" to address the young man. This was because she had just checked the young man's cultivation level. However, she did not expect that the young man in front of her had no cultivation level at all. It could even be said that he was an ordinary person. For this reason, there were two possibilities. First, the man in front of her was indeed an ordinary person. Second, the man in front of her was so powerful that she couldn't even sense his cultivation. These two possibilities were the easiest to explain and the easiest to accept. However, after Bing gave an affirmative response, the young man smiled. Chapter 423. We were sent back by the young master to guard the sect. The young master had a premonition that if we left the sect for too long, the other sects would be dissatisfied and even besiege us. Therefore, he sent us back to guard the sect. As he spoke, Ling Yu turned around and looked at the bloody battlefield around him. He smiled miserably, and his face instantly turned cold. However, it's obvious that we were too late. At this point, Ling Yu and the other 18 people lowered their heads and spoke to the remaining people of the Xuanzong sect with eyes full of guilt. However, Ling Yu's words were not taboo for everyone. The moment Ling Yu said this, the people of the heaven and earth path were all shocked. This was because the people who had suddenly appeared in front of them were not ordinary cultivators. There were even two people whose realms they could not perceive. At this point, they suddenly thought of a very frightening possibility. No, it can't be. The rules of the immortal realm are under the supervision of Tendo. This kind of thing can't happen. I must have thought wrong. Yes, I must have thought wrong. At this time, the heaven and earth path's thoughts were exactly the thoughts of everyone who had besieged them. However, because they were very clear about the order and rules of the immortal realm, they would rather choose the opposite answer. They did not want to believe it, nor did they dare to believe it. If this matter was really as they thought, then this matter would be very serious. They besieged the Xuanzong sect and even killed the disciples of the Xuanzong sect and Lin Rei's wife and children. Just like the oath of the remaining people of the Xuanzong sect, their sects, empires, and families would no longer exist. So what if they had the descendants of the celestial venerables? This matter would not change at all. Young master. However, Bing's thoughts were completely different from theirs. The moment he did not hear Ling Yu's words, Bing's heart completely collapsed, and tears flowed out from his eyes uncontrollably. However, when he thought of the dead Jean Ling and Jean In, Bing instantly lost control of himself. He felt even sadder and more helpless. Not only did Bu Bing cry, even the disciples of the Xuanzong sect who had never stopped fighting, including Lin Wanyu and the other 4 disciples. At that time, it was not because they were afraid. Instead, it was because they had learned that their master Lin Rei was fine, and that the rumors from before were all lies. Sorry, we're late. But don't worry, the sects, clans, empires, and sects that participated in the siege will all pay the price of annihilation. Looking at his fellow sect members in front of him, Ling Yu could empathize with their feelings. After saying that, Ling Yu's face was cold and emotionless. He looked coldly at the enemies in the sky outside of the Xuanzong sect. There was only one thought in Ling Yu's mind, and that was to suppress them all and wait for Lin Rei to come back and deal with them. However, the moment Ling Yu's words left his mouth, the heaven and earth path and Jian Wudi were frightened. They knew that the 2 reinforcements of the Xuanzong sect in front of them were very powerful. They were so powerful that they had no power to fight back. Even so, they would not allow themselves to be captured without putting up a fight. They were the leaders of their sects, and behind them were the disciples of their sections. If they retreated at this moment, it would not only bring about death, but also the complete destruction of their sections. It would not be long before their sects were completely destroyed. Senior, we're just here to reason with the Xuanzong sect. The conflict was purely an accident. You're an expert of the immortal venerable realm. Tendo has already made it clear that immortal venerables in the immortal world are not allowed to interfere with the affairs of the sects in the immortal world. Aren't you afraid of Tendo's punishment? He was indeed the leader of a sect. At this time, he was still able to remain calm in the face of danger. Moreover, he was able to use Tendo as a threat. Even Bing and the others were impressed by his wisdom and rationality. But so what? They still couldn't avoid the fate of death, because this was the oath they had sworn. However, Ling Yu didn't say anything after hearing the words of the heaven and earth path. Instead, he laughed heartily. His eyes were filled with contempt and disdain. He looked at them as if he was looking at a few clowns. Ha, idiots. When did I say that I'm going to do it myself? Kuei Gang, who had been silent all this while, finally spoke. His voice was rough, and his appearance was similar to the way he spoke. However, he seemed to be a very decisive person. As soon as these words came out, everyone was shocked. Immediately, the group of people from the heaven and earth path heaved a sigh of relief, and the tension on their faces receded. However, the expressions of Bing and the others behind Ling Yu changed drastically. Just as they were about to ask why, Kuei Gang's voice was heard again. Hmm. The group of people from the heaven and earth path who were filled with joy when they heard Kuei Gang's words changed their expressions instantly. When they heard Kuei Gang's words, they were dumbfounded. I said that we won't do anything. However, we didn't say that we won't use our cultivation to suppress all of you in the barrier. Furthermore, Kuei Gang took a deep breath. Obviously, he was trying to distract the heaven and earth path and mess with their minds. Furthermore, Tendo, haha, so what if you're Tendo? We've been in the Xuanzong sect for a long time. We have nothing to do with Tendo, and we're not something that Tendo can control. As soon as these words came out, everyone was shocked. This was the first time in 10 billion years that someone had dared to contradict Tendo so bluntly. Rumble, rumble. When Kuei Gang finished speaking, a huge eye of silence appeared in the sky and stared at Kuei Gang for a long time. At the same time, Kuei Gang fearlessly looked at the eye of the heavenly Tao. What was even more shocking was that when Kuei Gang looked at the eye of the heavenly Tao, his body was filled with battle intent. Ugh! In the eyes of everyone present, this scene was extremely daring and shocking, and it could even be said to be extremely horrifying. However, not long after the eye of the heaven Tao appeared, it vanished as if it had never appeared. Hiss! What? This scene puzzled everyone, but the truth was right in front of their eyes. It was useless to be on the same side. While everyone was still fighting against the eye of the heavenly Tao, Kuei Gang released his cultivation in an instant, and a destructive aura and pressure appeared in an instant. This! Sure enough, he's really in the immortal venerable realm. Sensing the Qinquan Tao, Jian Wudi and the others were certain of this realm. Although they didn't know what kind of power this was, they had felt this kind of aura from an immortal venerable before. It was rarely the same. They even felt that the immortal venerable before them was slightly stronger than their immortal ancestor. As soon as this thought appeared in their minds, they broke out in cold sweat. Their eyes widened as if they had sensed something bad. Umph! How dare you come to my Xuanzong sect and behave atrociously? Today, I'll let you know that my Xuanzong sect isn't a place that you can tarnish, humiliate, and bully. Seal. For directions, enchantment. Seal. The 4 directions enchantment opened in all directions, slowly encircling the attacking cultivators. They wanted to escape, but they didn't have the ability to fight against Kuei Gang, who was in the immortal venerable realm. In the end, they could only watch helplessly as their escape route was sealed off. Shui, you listen to my command. This time, it's time to make a contribution to the sect. You will lead 16 Azuras to the town to capture their leader. Remember, you can only capture them alive and not kill them. Because Ling Yu's voice turned cold, so cold that it could freeze a person to death. Their lives are reserved for the sect leader. Do you all know that? Ling Yu's words were heard by everyone present, following which, everyone's gazes landed on the 16 people who had not been paying attention to them. Everyone was looking forward to seeing how strong these 16 people were. Boom, boom, boom. The moment he heard Ling Yu's words, the middle-aged man called Blood One released his suppressed cultivation. In an instant, he released his peak immortal emperor cultivation, and a terrifying murderous aura rushed out of his body. At the same time, Blood One appeared one after another. Blood 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All the way until Blood 16, everyone unleashed the full power of their cultivation bases. As of this moment, everyone was so shocked that they almost couldn't believe their eyes. 16 of them, all of them at the peak of the immortal emperor realm. Even the 5 great sects wouldn't be able to gather such a force. Moreover, these 16 people were all at the same cultivation level. The probability of this happening was extremely rare. In fact, it had never happened before. Of course, the most frightening thing was that the aura of these 16 people were all baleful blood chi. They knew about this baleful blood chi. They couldn't even stand this kind of baleful blood chi, let alone use it for cultivation. Everyone was shocked. Of course, those from the heaven and earth path were filled with regret. However, those from Bing's side were pleasantly surprised because the time for revenge had come. Yes, We will do as you say." After hearing Ling use words, the 16 Shura tribesmen unleashed their cultivation and charged into the sealed heaven enchantment. They began a massacre without any suspense. However, something even more shocking happened. The moment the 16 Shura people entered the battle, the number of Shura people started to change. At first, there were only 16 Shura people, but now there were 32 of them. When this happened, everyone thought that they were seeing things. They rubbed their eyes, and when they looked again, there were more and more Shura people inside the heaven sealing barrier. There were already more than 60 Shura people. At this moment, everyone no longer thought that their eyes were playing tricks on them. This was really a miraculous scene. However, they did not notice that there were more than 60 Shura clansmen. They did not notice that the extra Shura clansmen were at the peak of the peak celestial emperor realm. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.